Ladies and gentlemen, happy Monday. Welcome to NFC Now 10, two hands. NFC Now 10, I'm Julian Virgin. That is David Oblas. What's up? Happy Monday, Dave. How you living?
Can we just put the hands together or something like that? Or which side is it? I guess it's that side. There we go. Look at that.
Teamwork makes the dream
First time
work,
we've done
man.
it.
NFC Now.
I see Nasty Nate on there. He told us 8:30.
Nah, he said he has to train from 7:30 to 8:30, so I guess he's on
Okay.
early in
All right,
excitement.
I see
and
Brandon with Low
anticipation.
T Nation on there as well.
That's what's up, man. Shout out to them for coming on. Again, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to NFC Now 10, where we will be joined here by Dhiego Lima. We got Brandon Addison of TRT, and then we have our guy, Nasty Nate Williams, who will be joining us a little bit later on in the show. So we have a jam-packed show, even on an off week of NFC action, but it's only right that we kick it to NFC's CEO, lead promoter, the man, the myth, the legend, David Oblas. What's up, man?
Like I told you, man, I just rolled in 6 minutes ago from Auburn, Alabama. Left at 8:30 this morning. Got in 6 minutes ago. I thought you were gonna have to carry the show as normal in my absence here, but yeah, I got in. I think I told you I didn't tell anything about it, but fraternity brother, we had a funeral today in Auburn, Alabama. Unfortunately, now that we're all getting 45 to 50s, unfortunately these things might happen. So yeah, kind of sucked. So.
What was his name?
His name was David Tabor. He was my roommate for 2 years in Auburn and 1 year here in Atlanta. And we don't know all the details yet, but it's basically an unfortunate car accident. And he passed away. He was taken airlifted last Friday and unfortunately passed away last Saturday in Auburn. So it sucks.
Word. So tell me a little bit more about your relationship with him. And like obviously y'all are roommates and you get to know somebody real close when you're roommates, but what does that look like exactly?
It was pretty dope because, looking at me, I've never been an athlete, but I've always been surrounded by athletes. And he was on the Auburn SEC Championship football team in 1995 under Terry Bowden. He was a punter for the team. He never saw game action, but it was pretty cool that he was there. So when I was watching as a fan in 95, he was on the team. And then I pledged a fraternity right afterwards. We became friends. We lived together for 2 years. Lived here in Atlanta, and he always had one of those big old SEC championship rings that had the Auburn logo on it. So I can't even, and that ring was about the size of my head. Like, you don't know how big those championship rings are. And I probably stole that ring out of his room probably 100 times and would walk around campus with it on my hand. And he'd always find it all 100 times. But yeah, good guy. His wife basically lived with us as well. Yeah, kind of sucks. This is what happens as you get older, unfortunately.
Yeah, well, what was your relationship like with him, like as y'all did get older? Because I know like things change, and with distance comes other things. You start doing one thing. He's still living in Auburn. What did that look like towards the latter years?
So unfortunately, the last few years it didn't look like a lot, and we talked about that a lot today because there's probably 30 of us from Atlanta that traveled the 2 hours to Auburn today, and we talked about how we kind of don't get together enough. So we decided today there's gonna be a poker night. About every 3 months here that all of us friends get together for poker because as you drift away, and the bad thing is Facebook keeps us all together, but I think Facebook takes us apart at the same time because when you see what people are doing on Facebook, you don't have that urge to communicate with your longtime friends as much. You just kind of see it through the virtual reality there. So we kind of talked about we do a poker night every 3 months. For our January 20th fight night, I think I'm going to have maybe 15 or 20 of them come to that fight night. Use that as like a coming together party for us. So yeah, we try to make a pledge that we're going to see each other more often.
Are you somebody who like gets real emotional? Like, will you show emotion? Will you cry?
So I was talking about that with a friend today on the way back. My dad passed away 3 years ago. I cried when that happened. But outside of that, the only thing I cried to is movies. I watched Top Gun Maverick the other night for the first time. And during a few of those scenes, like, it got me emotional. Like, I'm a movie guy. Top Gun, Rocky, Rudy. You talk about people overcoming obstacles. Those get me a little teary-eyed. But I've been to a few funerals lately, and unfortunately, I don't have a heart. Like, sometimes those don't do it for me. It's odd.
Indeed, man.
Yeah, it's weird, the things that do it for you.
Yeah, I was wondering just how you were feeling, man, because like I saw you posting pictures on Facebook. I saw some like younger year David photos, man, and it's
I looked young and slim, didn't I?
It's so unique to like see like how people evolve. Like I've only known you in this form, you know what I'm saying? But like there was a time where you were just a whole different person, man. So I appreciate you sharing those. But I was also thinking as you were sharing them, man, like there has to be like a little bit of like something that you feel inside as you think about your friend.
We all wanted to go get some Auburn hats and sweaters on the way out, and we kept getting delayed by going to lunch. We wanted to go see another building, this building. So Auburn has sucked at football recently. They just fired their quarterback, their head coach. We got a new head coach named Carnell Williams.
Hey, and I like him. I've been seeing a lot of like clips.
He's young, he's energetic, he's exciting. Well, he's not young. He was the running back when I was there. So he was the running back in 94 to 98. And he's now the head coach. But when we went to the bookstore, we bumped into his mom at the bookstore. And we all took photos with Carnell Williams' mom. And it was just cool. Like we were talking about, like fate might have brought it to the bookstore at the same time that she was there. After we took U-turns, got lunch, got delayed and stuff like that. Because the funeral, David lived in Auburn. He was a football player out there. So it was kind of cool that, maybe it took us back a little bit there. I don't know.
Yeah, I saw you. Don't you have an Auburn tattoo on you?
I do. I have Auburn on my ankle with my fraternity. Yeah.
What fraternity was that?
Sigma Pi.
Sigma Pi.
Yeah.
Were y'all like?
We were the first gay fraternity on campus.
Say word.
I'm kidding.
I'm like, yo, for real?
Yeah.
Were you a big partier back then when you were in your fraternity?
No, I think I drank a good bit, but I never know how I got in a fight promoting. Like, it's a long story that I have no idea how it ended up this way. But back then, I was the guy, like Dana White says, I was the guy that would get 10 or 15 bucks from everybody. I would order the Evander Holyfield versus Mike Tyson fights on the pay-per-view, get pizza and beer for all the guys, and encourage everyone to come down and watch the pay-per-view fights. And then later, Evander's been to several of my fights. I've got his phone number. We've become somewhat friendly where he recognizes me. So it's just cool that I went from like promoting fights at the fraternity house, getting $10 everyone, to now doing what I do. So it's kind of come full circle. So
that's dope, man. Hey, well, rest in peace to you said his name was
David. Yeah,
rest in peace to David, man. Rest in peace to David, man. I'll take a quick moment, just a moment of silence. Again, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to NFC Now. That is David Oblas. I'm Julian Virgin. Just got through recapping what David's been doing all day. I'll tell you what, man. You said that David was in a tragic car wreck, man. I wasn't in a tragic wreck by any stretch of the imagination today, man, but I did get into a fender bender a little earlier. And I had Sarai in the car, and it's just a hassle. You know what I'm saying? You got to wait for police to come. You got to get up out the way. You got to sit there and be friendly with the person that you just hit, and it's just a whole ordeal, man. So that's how my day's been. But I feel like I'm really happy to be on the pod right now. I know Jenna Lee was telling me a little earlier. I'm really excited for the pod. Yeah.
Remind me later, and I'll tell you more in depth. I just don't want to say on this podcast what we know exactly happened to him. But it's a pretty scary thing. But I'll definitely fill you in later. I just don't want to misstep. But yeah, the podcast night's one really I've been looking forward to. Dhiego Lima, obviously a stud here. Nathan Williams has a fight next week, a stud as well. But I think I've told you, and you see my Facebook post on how much TRT has changed me in the last 5 or 6 weeks, I think. And Brandon Addison, the owner of Low T Nation, has definitely helped me out. And it's just remarkable what it's done. I know when I originally put the post out about TRT, I probably got over 200 comments from guys out there, not one single negative comment from them. And that social media feedback is kind of what changed my mind about getting on it and doing it. You're still a young guy. I'm not in that young guy segment anymore. But I know there's a lot of MMA fighters out there that use TRT, a lot of jiu-jitsu fighters. And it's not what people think it is. It's not steroids. It's not anything like that. It's perfectly legal. It's in your body as right now, it's testosterone. And for those guys, I want to do a segment on this, just to talk about how it can help you as jiu-jitsu, MMA, or just a normal everyday guy like me over 40 years old that's suffering from energy loss and stuff like that.
I'm excited to talk to Brandon Addison when we have him on in a couple minutes. It's about TRT because when you throw out acronyms like TRT, you could just fill in the blanks. You don't know what the hell that is. So I'm excited to just learn what that is. But also, I think one of my biggest questions towards you is I know Low T Nation, they do they're a sponsor for the NFC. Now with the sponsors of the NFC, is this strictly just money driven, or do you actually eat with these sponsors and support their product?
Well, the funny thing, hopefully Brandon doesn't knock me in the head for this, but I originally wanted to get money out of him, but right now it's not even a money deal. It's just he helps me out with TRT, and I wanted him to talk about TRT, and whether someone goes to his clinic or a different one, I guess that's completely up to you. But he's a very well spoken guy about this. He knows what he's talking about. It's been years for him, and whether they go anywhere for TRT, I just think listening to him speak about it can really help out a lot of people out there. It's helped me, and it's no bullshit. It's actually done some good stuff.
In general, though, not just even talking about TRT, but I'm just talking about in general when it comes to, the people that you decide to align with when it comes to NFC. Are you somebody that's like, look, I have to vet the brand, or is this just like, all right, if they're coming with some bread, we're going to take the check?
I've said no to some that I don't have any interest in, or I can't freely post about on Facebook. Like another one is where I got my dog from, Jason Everhart. I post about them all the time because it's something cool. The Atlanta Bully Ranch. Again,
and he used to fight in the NFC.
Yeah, he used to fight in the NFC. I mean, he used to be a fighter for us back in the day. He's got a couple companies he sponsors, Doug Usher and other guys. So it's more about companies that not only sponsor the NFC but can help out other fighters or trainers or people associated with us. I think this is a no-brainer for our division, and I like it.
And I think this is a good segue to kind of put out there, if there was a business that somebody had and they wanted to align with the NFC, man, what does that process look like, and how can they do that?
So I think the best thing is not only I used to be just a fight promoter, it used to be only the fights. Now if you want to be a part of the fight game out there, you can sponsor the fights that we do. We've got the awards banquet coming up in January. I see that plaque behind you right there. I want to put logos on that plaque where someone can sponsor the plaque. With the gloves behind you, I'm looking to order new gloves, and I want to put a sponsor's logo on the glove where it says Champion Roofing right there, former fighter Eddie Walker. So it's the fights, it's the awards banquet, it's the jiu-jitsu events. Now we have the podcast that people can sponsor. So one company that want to be involved in everything MMA, kickboxing, jiu-jitsu, I think this is a perfect avenue for them.
Damn, that's a hell of a good sales pitch, man. That actually makes sense. If I was, as a business owner, it's like, what? I know that my brand could be on all streams that the NFC is on. And look, let's be real. The NFC community is a very, very large community. What you've built over the last 20 years, the relationships that you formed, the fights that you've put on, the venues in which that you've done there, it's all added to make that this community is a large community. I know this is something that you and O'Kelly talk about a lot. It's like the amount of numbers that's behind what we have going on here. So
and that doesn't even include our Facebook pages that are huge right now, the NFC community. Everyone loves the NFC community, but everyone hates the NFC community, but they go there. I'm now comfortable saying it. We're going to do a fight sometime in the next couple months live at the Battery at Sports and Social, right next door to the Brave Stadium. The negative, it only holds 600, 700, 800 people. But the marketing we're going to get of doing a fight night at the Battery right next to the Brave Stadium, that's going to be absolutely enormous. When the Battery starts mentioning us for a couple months leading into that, and if the first one or two fights go well at the Battery, it's going to be huge because by the time baseball season rolls around in April, that's the goal, is to try to do it either on a baseball night or a weekend out of town, but still get all that marketing behind us. So I think as we get to the Braves season, the fight at the Battery is going to be absolutely crazy dope.
David Oblas, breaking news again here on NFC Now 10. David, did you just say that NFC will be going to the Battery?
We will. It's not done yet. We're still going to meet. Unfortunately, Thanksgiving is getting in the way of some meetings here, so it's going to be post-Thanksgiving. But yeah, I think it's definitely going to happen. I'm pushing everything I can.
Not just weigh-ins, as you and I discussed, but we're talking about like actual fights.
Yeah, we're going to do a fight at Sports and Social at the Battery next to the Brave Stadium, and I think it's going to be huge. The marketing we're going to get with that, it's going to show a lot lot of NFC does fights that they never even knew we did.
Ooh, why do I feel like I'm like an Oscar Wilde or like a Ariel Helwani right now, and I'm literally talking to Dana White.
But you also get to possibly cage announce for it. Not only you get to break the news on the podcast, but you might be. That's where I talk about things that who knows if you do good as a cage announcer that night, you never know if someone at Truist Park next door, the Brave Stadium. A friend of mine, Mark Owens, just retired after 16 years. He was at this Brave Stadium. He was the guy in center field that used to interview fans and stuff like that. I don't know if they have a replacement for them or not. I'm sure they do. But if someone says, "Hey, who in the hell is this ring announcer in here at NFC Fight Night? This guy's good. This guy's sharp." That's the things you never know what might come of that when you're doing stuff next to the Brave Stadium there. I mean, that's I look at those things all the time. What it can be.
David Oblas creating opportunities out here, man. Again, this is NFC Now. That's David Oblas. I'm Julian Virgin. David, breaking news that we will have a fight night at the Battery. Details coming soon. We're shooting for April and maybe a May. Just know in 2023, big things are happening.
Quicker than that. I'm looking at February or March. Like it's
Really?
gonna be fast. Yeah,
Really?
It's gonna be. We got to do the first one before Brave season starts, and Brave season is the third week in March, so it's gonna be fast.
I agree. Now that that information is out there in the open, man, like I'm sure if I was a fighter, I would want to be on that card. Like, what does that process look like for fighters?
It might be an amateur show. It might be all amateur the first time out, so it's not going to be Jesse Wable's amateur series. It's going to be David Oblas amateur series, and I'm going to bury that Jesse Wable amateur series. We're going to make it better than the Jesse Wable amateur series. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, we'll see. But January 20th, we have the fights of Monday Night Brewing. This will probably be late February, early March. So we'll start putting this together as soon as we get word, probably after Thanksgiving.
That's exciting. That's exciting. Yeah. I'm super excited about that, man. And just being a part of the event in general, man, at the Battery. Like, NFC is making steps and strides to the next level. Talking about NFC making steps and strides, I do have to give a special shout out to Kimberly Sargent. She was unable to make tonight's podcast, although she's very interested. I guess we got to make sure when she comes on the pod, we have a post strictly about Kimberly Sargent being on the pod. It can't be Addison, Brandon Addison, Dhiego Lima, and Kimberly Sargent. It has to be Kimberly Sargent and the rest of the gang. You feel me?
I can see that.
And I think that'll be necessary. So we'll definitely have Kimberly on here soon on the NFC Now pod. I see there's a lot of people chimed in right now. If you are chimed in, make sure you go ahead and drop a comment in our comment section. Let us know exactly what you want us to talk about here, and let us know what you think about David's breaking news that NFC will be going to the Battery. Do y'all like that idea? Do you not like that idea? Are you worried about parking? Are you excited about all the other amenities that the Battery does offer on a fight night? You know what I'm saying? Just imagine the fights are over and it's like, you still have that buzz. You can go out to a different place. So a lot of different options here. Y'all make sure you drop your comments. Is Brandon Addison logged in?
He is. I can see him in a portal right now, ready to rock and roll.
Let's get it.
Let's get him in. What's going on, Mr. Addison?
What's up, sir? How are you, man?
Your audio sounds better than ours does, I hate to say.
Oh, good. I
What's
got
up,
lucky,
Brandon?
man. I'm just on my laptop.
Thank you for joining us here on Low T Nation. Wow. Thank you for joining us here on NFC Now.
I'll
you
take
are
it.
Brandon of Low T Nation. First and foremost, could you just explain to us what is Low T Nation and why? Why are you involved in it?
Yeah, we're an optimal health and wellness clinic, man. We specialize in hormone replacement, weight loss, and we started branching out into other things like stem cell replacement. And then I wanted to just take care of men when I got started because there was no real outlet for men to get the good kind of care that they deserve. And I was like, women have options. We're not going to take care of them. Well, all of our guys' wives started kind of beating our door down, and they're like, hey, do to me what you did to him. And so now we treat women, we do aesthetics, we do all kinds of things. And my why is, I owned an internet marketing company before I actually started doing this. And one of the things that we would do is fly out there and film a bunch of video testimonials of their patients. I kind of specialized in the medical space. So we'd get 8 or 10 or 12 of their patients to kind of explain their experience and a little bit about the doctors or a little bit about the clinic or their staff or whatever. And just every dude was like, man, I'm a better dad. I'm a better husband. I feel so much better. I dropped the 50 pounds, or I finally got the promotion, or whatever it was. And I was like, it was just mind blowing for me. And I called my wife that night. I literally called her from Texas. I was like, man, I want to open up a testosterone clinic. This is amazing. And my wife was like, you don't know shit about testosterone. I'm like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, I don't know shit about internet marketing before I started. And, we were there. So I just fell in love with it that day, and I haven't, I've been in love with it ever since. And it's just because of what it does for the people that need it. It's amazing.
TRT, what does that stand for?
Testosterone replacement therapy. You'll hear it as HRT, also hormone replacement therapy.
Okay, and And David was clowning on me a little earlier. He said, you're a young man, so I don't have to deal with that just this yet. But, like, what does that look like when men start to lose a little bit of their testosterone?
Yeah, it's a good question. We get asked that literally every single day, and it's not a straightforward answer. Primarily, what most guys deal with is just a loss of energy. They lose their focus and motivation. They just feel like kind of blah, But some guys lose a bunch of muscle. Some guys get fat. Some guys have issues in the bedroom. It can present itself in a lot of ways. And that's like short term what you can feel. The scary part is low T causes heart disease. It causes neurodegenerative diseases like Alzheimer's and dementia. It causes diabetes and all sorts of other health related issues that literally are the foundation for all the chronic diseases that kill us, as we get older.
Indeed. David?
And you're, correct me if I'm wrong, a purple belt in jiu-jitsu?
A brown belt in jiu-jitsu.
Brown belt, okay. So you've been in the community longer. When I was thinking about it, I basically had the syndrome of just not having energy. Like I'd work from 9 to 5 or whatever. I'd sit on the couch, hang out with my dog for 15 minutes, and then plan on going to the gym. There's a dozen times I got to the parking lot of the gym and just said, "Fuck it, I don't feel like it today. I just don't have the energy." And at age 46, that was happening to me all the time. Like I think it was 4 years ago I ran a marathon. 3 years ago I competed in jiu-jitsu. So I'm not a lazy guy. Just as the older. And then I think the average TRT, you should have about 1,000 testosterone.
Something like that, yeah. Somewhere between 800, 1,100, It's different for every guy. We're really good at figuring out exactly where a guy needs to be for himself. But yeah, it's a fair average, yeah.
Yeah, so when I got tested, I think I was 273 or 275, which how low does that mean I am? Like how bad was I guess?
Like that's average age of and I was right there with you. I got tested about 5 years ago, and I was the same number. I was like a 268 or something like that. And that's like an 80-year-old guy, but it's funny, man. I mean, some guys can carry those levels later on in their life, but these days, every graduating class of 30-year-olds have lower and lower and lower testosterone levels every year, so there's something going on, man. They don't make men like they used to, unfortunately, man.
Yes. So that's my question. Is like, what is contributing to that? Is this like lifestyle choices? Is this like society's pressures? Like, what's up with this, man?
You're good at your job, man. Those are the answers. There's a lot of environmentals. The shit in our food is absolutely toxic. But also, if you look around, like no hormones in an 18-year-old are about as good as they're ever going to get. You know what I mean? But in this country, we have an obesity epidemic of our teenagers just because they're sitting on the couch playing Xbox all day. And so that shows you, even with the best hormones, some of these kids are just absolutely obese. We're the same way. I can take a 40-year-old and put his hormones back to where he was at 18, but he's still got to put in the work. You know what I mean? So these graduating 30-year-olds, a lot of those guys have never put in the work. They've just eaten a bunch of shit their whole life, and it really affects them. And it's a long-term chronic effect too. It's not just something you can spin out of super easy. You got to commit lifestyle changes to be able to get out of it the right way.
Indeed, and you committed a lifestyle change to go from internet marketing to TRT. I know you briefly scanned over the conversation that you had with your wife, but could you actually talk about that transition, that lifestyle transition that you went through?
Sure, yeah. It was scary, but I knew I was onto something, man. I mean, when you fall in love with something and you get passionate about it, it sticks with you. And so the journey was a little bit bumpy. At first, I was like, I want to just start marketing all of these testosterone services to all my other clinics. And then I realized doctors don't know how to do testosterone. Most, just rare. I had about 100 clients at the time. 2 of them knew how to do testosterone. So that was kind of my light bulb. I'm like, well, maybe if I can find some training for these guys to go to, they'll buy more of my marketing services, and then I can start working towards getting my own clinic. So we started an educational company that brought in pharmacists to teach these doctors how to do it. And as part of that training, man, I ran into a guy like a year later that had been to one of my first trainings. And I was like, how's it going? And he's like, man, I'm making like $200,000 a month.
Wow.
$200,000 a month doing it. And I'm like, you learned this at my training? Like, I taught you how to do that?
Yeah.
I'm making like $20,000 a month max, on my best month ever. So that was my moment where I just came home and I literally just told my wife, I'm like, we're opening up a clinic tomorrow. Like, just tomorrow, I'm going to make it happen. And we did. And that was about 7 or 8 years ago, and we haven't looked back. We just keep adding more services, and we got so many fun toys in the clinic now. It's a blast,
Yeah. And again, this is Brandon Addison with Low T Nation, who's got an office in the Marietta Square right there. But for related to us in jiu-jitsu and MMA, like what percentage of guys would you say are doing TRT these days, and how does it benefit someone in MMA or jiu-jitsu? And I will say, I don't want to use his name. I don't think he cares, but he was our main event a couple months ago, and I asked him, what's made the difference now over where you were a year ago, and he said absolutely 100% TRT. As I've gotten older, I've started using it. It's made me work harder. It's made me train harder. It's given me focus. And he said, most importantly, it's gotten rid of my anxiety. He was having anxiety. And I was like, shit, TRT helped with that. Shit, maybe it'll take me from 5'4" to 6'4". It's done everything for this guy. But how does it help MMA and jiu-jitsu guys out there?
Yeah, there are limits, though. Can't give you we get that all the time, man. We take guys off of antidepressants all the time. Because they go to their doctor and they're like, man, I feel like shit. The docs say, oh, you're depressed. Here, take some Lexapro or something, or some Xanax or whatever. And it doesn't do the trick. It just masks how bad they're feeling. They don't feel good, but they don't feel as bad, so we get guys off of that all the time. I always tell people, man, like the way I knew I needed it is because I'd go to the mats and just murder dudes on Monday, and I'd get beat by those dudes on Tuesday. The same guy. I was way better than them, but my body wouldn't respond. And on days where I trained real hard, my mind was slow the next day too. So I couldn't train 2 days in a row. And I was teaching testosterone. I was like, man, am I the shoemaker with bad shoes here? And so sure enough, I got tested. My levels were terrible. And yeah, it gives you the body back. I mean, you can recover twice as fast. It's easier to carry lean muscle. It's easier to lose weight. But your focus, like jiu-jitsu is a mental game, and it keeps you sharp and quick, and you're able to react a lot better. And it's obviously there's limits to what we can say, but most of the guys that are doing really well, high level, are on some sort of TRT. And we have a lot of guys. Like, I can't talk about a lot of guys. Obviously, they don't give us the rights to, but in the last couple of years, Bigfoot Silva, Frank Mir, a lot of big name guys have been on our program, just because they believe in what we do so much.
So what makes this legal versus what we have typically known as performance enhancing drugs?
Sure. Yeah. Well, it comes from a doctor's prescription. It comes from a compounding pharmacy. You actually get a box with, a printed legal prescription on it, and it's a controlled substance. It's a legally controlled substance, and there's a lot of due diligence involved in writing that prescription. We have to do blood work up front on people. We have to manage care on people. We have to send them back to the lab at least every 6 months. There's a whole protocol involved in taking care of patients. You're going to do it the right way, and we do it the right way.
And you said it's TRT, or called HRT, right?
Yeah.
Which is different than a HGH.
Yes, very, very different. This is it's a name for the overall therapy, just a testosterone or hormone replacement therapy. It's not just testosterone. There's other things that come with it. There's routine blood work. There's routine consultations. There's a bunch of operations, making sure we get the patient everything delivered to their house. You don't have to go to a pharmacy when you're using us. We ship everything to your house. And that whole protocol is just called the testosterone replacement therapy.
Do you only have one store? I'm sorry.
Well, we're licensed in 7 states. So we run from a telemedicine kind of a headquarters division. So yeah, we have one brick and mortar, but we can work anywhere that we want to go get licensed in.
Yeah, so of all the people I've told about it, that's one question they always have is how do you get it? How do you get it, and how do you put it in yourself? Do you need to go to the Low T Nation clinic every week? So to answer the people that have asked me, I shoot myself in my butt every Monday and Thursday. So I used to shoot myself, and my buddy told me to shoot it in the fat on my waistline or whatever. So I was doing that, but then someone else told me the butt. So I started doing the butt cheek, but I did the same right butt cheek every week on Monday and Thursday. And I realized that started getting sore. So I basically had to teach myself how to shoot myself on the left side of my ass, which takes a little bit of time. If you're right-handed, it takes a little bit of time. So now I do Monday on the left butt cheek and then Thursday on the right butt cheek. But I went into the Low T Nation. I got tested once for it. They send you to get your blood test. They review the results with you. You meet with a nurse in there. She instructs you how to do the needle and how much to put in the syringe and everything like that. And then it comes. I think I just got my shipment like Friday, but I get about 2 weeks of a shipment at a time, 2 to 3 weeks, and just go from there. And you just do it at home. Don't have to come in. So
yeah, I always say I built this for lazy people and busy people, and I'm both, so I don't want to be running around taking care of stuff. I'm a procrastinator. I'd wait till I was out of things. We cover all the bases for guys like that.
Indeed, ladies and gentlemen, Brandon Addison of Low T Nation joining us here on NFC Now. Now I have to know, how did you meet David? Like, how did this relationship come about?
He was training at Hanyeti's gym for a fight a couple years ago. That's when we first shook hands and met. And then we started doing we do a lot of the blood testing for the NFC fighters, and that's how we kind of got, got to know each other a little bit more, and here we are.
Yeah, I don't think people know about that, but so Dr. Jason Weeks hooked me up with his office, Low T Nation, and they've tested every fighter in the state of Georgia for probably the last 6 years. And all other blood tests cost $99 to get your hepatitis B, C, and HIV. Brandon gave us a deal which only $50. So every fighter for the last 5 or 6 years is, say $50 on their blood test. And they've gone through Low T Nation. And when we just had the fight that we just made at the weigh-in a couple months ago at Monday Night Brewing, you were there for, Julian, Osei Abhinav versus Larry Green. So that fight was made at weigh-ins on Thursday. Larry went right after weigh-ins to get his blood test through Low T Nation, and they were able to hustle it up and get the results back the next day, where usually other blood test places would take 2 days, sometimes 3. So it's made it kind of cool that I've got the owner's cell phone number. I can say, dude, you got to rush through Larry Green. Well, he's not going to be able to fight this weekend. So yeah, you guys do the blood test for fighters. You do the TRT. You do, I know you have the IV therapy. They did the mobile IV therapy for the fight at the Pink Pony, because I was afraid fighters and fans might collapse because it's so hot. And I don't even know what else you guys do over there. There's some things I know about.
Yeah. We the pony fight was a blast, by the way. We do weight loss at a very, very high level, and it's a very sophisticated weight loss program. We have calorimeter machines and bioimpedance analyzers. I mean, we really get in depth with hormone replacement, but now we've even branched into doing body contouring and these facial laser machines for ladies that want to look younger. I mean, we're doing all kind of stuff over there now. So our website's lowtnation.com. We kind of touch on a little bit of everything that we do on the website, but there's just, in the health and wellness world, the right people, the people that want to be healthy inside and out, they buy a lot of different services from a lot of different people. Like, we're buying a cryo machine now, just because it fits the demographic of our typical client, and they're paying someone else for it. I'd rather just give them a one-stop shop, and they can save a lot of money if they bundle, all of these things together.
Brandon, how important is it having a relationship with somebody like David Oblas, who runs a fight promotion, that, basically be driving clients right to you?
It's important for the clients because we're a legit service. You know what I mean? We have doctors and nurse practitioners and PAs and real medical professionals. And we actually teach doctors how to do this the right way. If those fighters didn't have a good, legitimate source, they're going to go to just some dude at Gold's Gym and get whatever that guy has in the trunk of his car. And that shit's dangerous. I mean, we have so many horror stories I could tell you guys of guys getting septic, guys getting big abscesses in their ass cheek, just getting sick as hell from that stuff. It's got to be done right, so it's good to, and I tell guys, if you don't want to use us, that's great. Use somebody legit. Make sure you check out their reputation, look at their Google reviews, see how long they've been around. Check out their involvement in the community, and if they're legit, that's awesome. Don't use the stuff out of some dude's trunk, man. That stuff's dangerous.
My final question to you before I ask you your final thoughts, man, is what are you drinking?
Oh, a little bourbon. I keep it simple.
On a rock?
Yep.
Indeed. David?
And guys can also go to you. Do you guys do the IV therapy there in the Meredith Square? Are you guys open till what time? And
we do. We're 9 to 5, and the IV therapies are awesome. I mean, they're good for just regular guys. They're good if you're hungover, of course, but for people dealing with chemo, for people that have autoimmune disorders, for people that have real legitimate health issues, those things are a godsend, So if someone's struggling, feeling okay because of some treatments that they're having to deal with, tell them to give us a call. And also, because we offer so many services, we can offer everything at a discount, because most people don't just buy one thing from us. They start buying several things from us once they see how well we're priced. So our IV therapies are 60% of, a Hydrate or any of these other services around town.
So I haven't gotten too many IVs in my life. The only time I've really gotten when I had back surgery or when I go into the hospital or something, and something's bad. But I did see, I live in Smyrna, and in Vinings they have one of the little IV places, whatever. I don't even know the name of it. But I was feeling real bad. I think it was the day after a fight. People don't understand what it takes to do a fight, getting the venue at 9 a.m., not leaving until 3 a.m. When I get in bed, checking Facebook for another hour or two to see what people thought of the night or whatever. So the day after a fight, I am absolutely freaking exhausted. And I went to go get an IV the next day from one of these places. It completely changed me. Like the IV, you made me feel so much better right after that. I mean, what the hell is in one of those things that for a fighter cutting weight or anyone, it changes them instantly?
Yeah. We put a lot of things in them. There's vitamin C infusion. There's an antioxidant called glutathione. There's something called NAD+, which makes a profound difference in energy. That's actually at the foundational level, every cell turns, mitochondria eats ATP and turns it into energy. This is part of that process, the NAD is. But we've got mineral bags. We've got all sorts of things. But our biggest, you hit it on the head, man. Our best clients are people that are just putting themselves into the dirt, whether it's work or some kind of medical treatment. I tell people, like, if you're just kind of, not feeling great, don't waste your money on a bag. Just go drink a Gatorade and get some rest. But yeah, if you're working your ass off or, 18 hours a day, or if you have to take chemo or radiation or something like that, the bags are a godsend. They're a real game changer.
A lot of Americans and even people just in our NFC community, they deal with cancer and things alike, man. Is like an IV, would you recommend that or any of the services that you have at Low T Nation?
Yeah, I mean, some of our other services are inappropriate for a cancer patient, but for someone going through chemo and radiation, that's kind of our wheelhouse with our IV therapies. And it's just, you can just see the look on their face change over the course of an hour when they're getting that bag. It's a beautiful thing, man.
And it was weird. When I was sitting in there that Sunday afternoon getting mine, there were girls in there acting like they were getting a pedicure. Like these girls were on a monthly plan that they get an IV bag like every other Sunday and then make it an IV bag and lunch or something like that. And I was just listening to these Buckhead Bettys and Vinings talking about it. And I was like, you guys plan like every other Sunday for an IV bag. Like, is that something that's actually common and good for people?
Yeah, some people love it that much. We have a lot of frequent flyers just come in on their routine day. We know what they're going to put in their bag. It's ready for them when they get in. We're doing wedding showers and groom's parties and things like that now too. We'll send a nurse out to a wedding because, the whole groom's party looks like shit because they're hungover, from the night before. And of course they want them to look good in the pictures. There's a whole lot of applications for this, man. People really dig these bags, man. It makes everybody feel better, but it makes some people feel a hell of a lot better. So yeah, we have people that literally come in weekly. And our most expensive bag is like $269, and they pay it every week because that's how much better it makes them feel.
Wow, crazy.
Where can we find you?
lowtnation.com is the easiest way. We're starting a big Instagram push too. It's lowtnation_IG. So either one of those platforms, you can see what we do and connect with us, ask us any kind of questions you might have, and we'll be more than happy to help out.
And I actually watched your videos. I was looking at them today to see if we could have a 1 or 2 minute video like drop in here. I will say all your videos are extremely informative. You even have videos on like eating and nutrition and how you meal plan for the week on there. But all your videos were like 10 or 15 minutes, so I couldn't drop in like a 1 or 2 minute video on here. They were too long for us to put on here, but they're extremely informative.
Yeah, our YouTube channel drives an enormous amount of business for us just because we just try to give information away. They're all educational. There's not a single call to action, and so when you help people out, we give them information they need. The right kind of people come towards you. It works for us.
Because you guys don't even sell any kind of meal plans, do you?
No.
Yeah, but I saw like a cooking show by Brandon Addison on there and on how to cook 5 things of chicken and broccoli and rice and package them all together and stuff like that.
Yep. And so YouTube's definitely our friend, man. That's for sure.
Brandon Addison, before we part ways, man, your final thoughts, man. What do you want to leave the NFC community?
I just tell people to, if you feel like something's off, first, 2 things. If you don't need testosterone, we're not going to give it to you, right? So it's unethical, it's illegal. We don't play those games. A lot of places will, but we don't do that. But if you feel like something's off, it costs $100, man. The lab the lab panel that we charge $100 for, if you go around us to the same exact place right? Buy the same exact panel, they're going to charge you $2,300. That tells you everything you need to know about healthcare these days. But for $100, you get that same panel. You get a free consultation with a ninja provider that just does this full time. It's not like something they do on the side, and they'll tell you what they see and what they recommend. And then at that point, the ball's in your court. We don't have any contracts. We don't have any kind of long-term obligations. So it's quick and easy to find out if something's going on. And if it is, you need to get it taken care of, and we can take care of you, or we'll tell you what you need to do, and someone else can take care of you as well.
Brandon Addison, we appreciate you joining us here on NFC Now tonight, my brother. Until the next time, y'all make sure you go ahead and check us out. Check Brandon and the whole gang out at lowtnation.com. They have their brick and mortar store located in Marietta Square. And we will see you soon, man.
Man, it's been a pleasure. Thank you, guys. Y'all have a good night.
Thanks, Brandon.
Be good.
See, you don't need to worry about that yet. You're still a young buck. That's not.
As I'm listening to him talk, he like scanned over real quick. He was like, "Oh yeah, the Pink Pony night. That was a good night. Oh yeah, that was a good night."
That was. And nothing even happened with them. They left early. They pulled their trailer out right when the fights were over. They left. But the Pink Pony fight brought in not only a lot of, Pink Pony night was not only 600, 700, 800 people like a venue. That was like 12 to 1,500 people. Then you include all the strippers. The strippers, after they get off work, they go out and party. The next day, they come in all drunk and high and drugged up from the night before. So I told him, I was like, if you show up early and get your tent out early, I bet you can get some stripper traffic. And I think some of them did. So, that's marketing 101 right there.
Yeah, no, I actually really enjoyed having him on too, man. I think we should have more of the NFC sponsors on the pod just so we can talk to them a little bit more, like make that connection. I think that's the biggest thing. It's like, you could see something on a paper or, you can hear me read it out when we're at the fights, but it's a different thing, like when you actually can hear from the person who runs the business and you kind of connect those dots. You feel me?
Yeah, and like I said, if it wasn't for my two fight doctors, when I asked them, what they think of TRT, and they both told me, hey, I'm on TRT. You should get your levels checked and get on it. Or it'll kind of not change your life, but it'll give you what you had back 5 or 10 years ago. So everyone I talked to highly recommended get on TRT. And again, I love Brandon. I love Low T Nation. If you go with them, great. But if not, if you're 30 years old or over and you're an athlete or used to be an athlete, you should definitely get your TRT checked. Like if it is something for MMA, jiu-jitsu, boxing, or just an overall person, that stuff helps.
Indeed. Now, you also, you were like, I don't want to say anybody's name, but the way you described it, I feel like I had like a name. You said main event. Like the name was just sitting here. I'm not going to say any names, but I mean, you kind of put it out there.
Guys. You can figure we have a lot of main. Every fight we do, we have 2 main event guys, right?
And then you said the main event was older. It was like, come on, man, Dave, you giving it away, man.
And I said he had anxiety issues and health.
I was like, come on, Dave.
But I think that person posted it before that it helped him out. So it wasn't the most. I didn't give out the biggest secret in the world or anything that person be ashamed of. But yeah. So it helps. So.
Indeed. Now, before we go on to our next guest, any plans to have the heavyweight champ on the podcast before his 4 FC scrap?
Yeah, we had him on once before. And I think we should have him on again in the next couple of weeks. So,
Austin?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's Austin. I think he's wrestling. I saw it. I think he's wrestling in a district in a couple weeks for district wrestling, putting up his district wrestling championship belt and his NFC MMA belt in the same night. I didn't approve that, but I think it's fun. It's cool. It's different.
Whoever writes that script, I hope they have him winning.
Yeah, they better.
Indeed. Earlier you asked me about the boxing match that I announced this past weekend. It was
so you did an amateur boxing show Saturday at Buckhead Fight Club, I think.
Yeah, it was an amateur boxing show at Buckhead Fight Club. My first time ever at Buckhead Fight Club. Are you familiar?
I am. I've been there before. Yeah.
It was an interesting venue. It was like one of those. It reminded me. I don't know if you play video games, man, but I used to always play Fight Night Round 2 back in the day, man. It just reminded me of like, when you're going through my career, like that's like one of the opening places where you would get one of your first fights. So it had that vibe to it. It was FTP. That was the promotion for the people. Fight Night. One thing that they did well, and I'm happy that you asked about it earlier. One thing that they really did well was their entertainment in between fights. they had a DJ and they had a drummer too, and it kept people real occupied. It was a different sound. It wasn't something that you would hear every day, and I thought that was real unique. And I wanted to bring that to you. Like I thought that was like a nice little touch to what was going on.
Yeah. I've thought about it. I've been to their shows in the past. Their shows are usually more Hispanic related, and they usually have Mexican bands and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I've seen them do that in the past, and it's weird because here I'm going to be a negative Nancy that people don't like, but I think the NFC crowds are so white, black, Mexican. We're seeing a lot of Asian now, this and that. Whenever I've brought in music, and I haven't brought in music in 18 years probably, but when I've brought it in, 20% of the people like it, 30% of the people like it, but 70% of the people hate it or use it for as a piss break. The commission doesn't like it because it drags on the show. So it's kind of, what kind of music can you get that people are going to care about it? Unless I could get like a Ludacris or someone from Atlanta that's cool, that people know, that people care about. I think people just, in my opinion, people want to be crazy about it. If I had music for a 20-minute intermission and did that once or twice, like, the times I've seen it hasn't gone out terrific, but that's my opinion.
Now, talking about that, like, what other things have you tried when it comes to the NFC, and like maybe like tried and swung and missed?
So we've had the I don't even know if you were alive, but the Georgia Force football team, I think it was. We had their cheerleaders out a couple times because in the old days, one of my fighters was a cheerleader for the Georgia Force. So they'd walk her out, they'd do some intermissions and stuff like that. It was cool when she fought. Her name was Nina Lynn, but haven't done that for a while. But I've learned we put on great fights, so I've just learned don't go too far to the left and don't go too far to the right. People are there to see one thing. They're there to see the fights, and they're there to see their friends fight, and they're there to support their gyms. So it's like the more BS you do, it's not going to go very well unless it's an A-town guy like a Ludacris or whoever might be next on that list right now. I don't know. But I don't know. It's just something I don't do, I guess.
I think that makes a lot of sense, man. It's like, keep it, like, what is that acronym they used to always tell us back in school? Keep it simple, stupid. Stupid. You know what I'm saying? Like, that does make sense because at the end of the day, people do come for the fights. They come to go support people, and the fights is like the main product. And I feel like
we've seen it vice versa. We've seen people go to concerts and there actually be a fight night, and they're bored out of their mind watching the fights because they were there to see Snoop Dogg perform or something like that.
Yeah.
I've seen like other big companies do that. They try to do pay-per-view with a music star and a fight, and people end up not caring about the fight. They were there for the music part of it. So I don't know. I think if you're selling a product, you sell that one product better than anyone else.
It kind of reminds me of like that first Jake Paul card. I think it was like when Tyson fought. Who did he fight? Was it Roy Jones?
I think he did.
And then I think Jake Paul fought Nate Robinson that night, and they had somebody else on the card. But like that night, it was like performance fight, and it was weird. It was just like, what is this? What is this product right here? So. I think that's interesting. And I don't know, with the show I was at, it wasn't necessarily a performance. It was just like an extra level of like, it was just that instrument in between the music that was played between the rounds. It was like just the instrument with it. It was like, oh, that's different. But you're right. It was a very like, it was a pro-Latino crowd.
You weren't around, but Koonpan, who owns Bangkok Boxing, he used to do events called Bangkok Fight Night. And he used to have the old Thailand, he'd have these drummers on stage drumming during the actual fight. So as two guys are fighting in the cage, you hear in the background this drumming music the whole time. And I guess that's old school Thailand, which he appreciated and other people appreciated. But there's a lot of people that did not appreciate that. So it kind of goes both ways, I guess.
Indeed. I think that's interesting. How often do you go to other fights, promotions, and things of that nature?
I try to go to them a lot, like the helping out with Areas FC, Combat Fight Night in Florida with Mitchell, Conflict. I do go to a lot of Atlanta shows where we're helping Cedric Boswell out with his boxing show in 2 weeks on ESPN. We'll be there, obviously. So I don't go to as many shows as I should, but I do try to go to as many shows as I can.
Do you ever turn off your promoter cap, or are you always like thinking in your head like, oh, I like that or I don't like that?
I try to go as peaceful as I can with the other promoters because I think you see sometimes there is beef between promoters, and I think if you see me over the last couple of years, I like everyone. Like I think promoters should always be working with each other and sharing tips and secrets and stuff like that. And sometimes it goes on, but sometimes it's ridiculous. Sometimes if I walk in, they look at me as the enemy, like, oh shit, David Oblis is here. Like, what's he gonna do, or this or that? I'm like, I'm just gonna buy a hot dog and a beer. Like, that's all I'm gonna do. I'm gonna
I'm
check
gonna
out your show.
support.
Yeah, and you're welcome to come to my show. I'll probably give you free tickets if you give me free tickets back. But in the old days, there was Brett Moses here promoting a fight party. There was Coon Pond with Bangkok Fight Night. There was Soka DeBoss with Sport Fight X, where Lima fought on. I see him in the portal about to come on. So there's been a lot of other fight promoters that have done shows, and I'm friendly with all of them. That's the crazy thing. I'm still friends with Brett Moses right now. I'm good friends with Coon Pond. Soko DeBoss, who lives in Florida, he came to Michael Kelly's wedding, and I was in Michael Kelly's wedding, so we hung out there at the same table all night. So that's the way it's supposed to be. We're all supposed to be friends.
I agree. I'm just interested in like the next generation of fight promoters that come along. I wonder like what their energy will be like towards an OG like you that's been in this community and what that looks like.
Hopefully they're cool with it. Hopefully I set the stage for them to be even more successful, and hopefully Atlanta builds more venues that are larger, and hopefully casinos come to Atlanta. So at some point in time when I'm retired, there's a promoter that can get an MGM Grand in downtown or underground and be making millions of dollars an event where I was making a couple dollars an event. So hopefully they do tremendously better than I've done.
That's actually really interesting. I feel like that's a whole other dialogue for a whole other day, whether or not casinos should come to Atlanta, Georgia. But
Yeah.
right now we are live on NFC Now. Shout out to everybody who's watching at home or wherever you are in your car doing what you do. I'm Julian Virgin. That is David Oblas, NFC's CEO, head promoter, small business owner, rather. Right now we're being joined by another small business owner. Some people will call it a large business. We have Dhiego Lima joining us, the owner and head coach at ATT Team Lima. Dhiego, happy Monday.
Can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Oh, there we go. Good.
How you living,
What's
man?
up?
Happy Monday, man.
Happy Monday.
Sorry we missed you last week, man. Everything cool? How was the softball game?
I told Obers my son had a playoff baseball game, and I was like, I might make it, I might not. I'll probably just go in the car. But it ended as soon as, and they ended up losing, so we had to go eat and all that. And today I almost didn't make it, man. I'm sick as a dog, but I was like, no, I can't let him down twice,
You need that TRT, brother.
Yeah, I definitely do. I'm retired now. I definitely need to get on some stuff, man.
That's what's up, man. Thank you for joining us this evening, man, on NFC Now.
Thanks for having me, man.
We've tried to have you for a few weeks now. What are you sicking with?
Who knows, bro? There's so much crap going around. I'm just feeling bad. Stomach is bad. Headache. All just the normal, man. Probably just a normal flu. All the good stuff.
Are you happy I'm not doing any fights from now till January 20th? You happy I'm taking December off?
Bro, I'm done. I'm not done. There's too much fights, man. Too many fights going on. That's why I got to get everybody in one event, and that's it, man. There's just too much going on. There was a lot of fights this year.
Yeah.
A lot of good fights, man. Your team is always very well represented, man. Your team was definitely represented on last week's NFC Now podcast. We had Brantley Frere as well as Trayshawn Gore. Were you able to catch any of their dialogue, or do you hear about the pod when you're at the gym?
Oh, bro, when we went to where was it? It was a Monday night. Oh, yeah, sparring on Tuesday. That's all they were talking about. I was like, because my wife works at the gym, and she was here. Hey, weren't you supposed to be on a podcast? They were all talking about it. I was like, yeah, I know. I missed it. But, yeah, they were all talking about it, man. All the guys watch. It's fun, man. Y'all doing a good thing.
Most definitely, man. And you're doing great things over there, man. Again, we had Brantley on. He spoke so highly about how when he came from Oakboro, North Carolina, how he discovered you and Zhukao and your brother, and how much that y'all changed his life, man. Now, do you understand the level of impact that you have on not only coaches but students here in the area?
Yeah, man, I do now. I do, man. I do, and that's really, I want the better for them, because I don't like to take credit for anything, but I do see it, I undervalued myself before, but I do see, man, they like when I'm around, and they just, it's good, man. I don't need credit for any of that, the more they do better, the better for me, man. I don't really, It's hard, it's hard. I just want them to do good, man. I'm just here for them.
What part of Brazil are you from?
Goiânia.
Goiânia.
Mm-hmm.
Indeed,
It's
man.
right by the capital.
And there's a culture of fighting in Brazil, correct?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
How were you introduced?
Man, I was introduced here by my brother. Yeah,
Really?
he was fighting for David Obelus at Wild Bills, bro. And I went and watched it one time. I was like, I want to do this. I was playing football at the time, and then after I graduated, I hurt my neck, and then I was all out for 2 years. And then he was fighting, and I was like, you know what? Let me just try this, and then stuck to it.
It's crazy for me when I hear stories, and you're an OG. You've been in it just as long as I have. But it's crazy for me when I hear stories of people who started fighting for me X amount of time ago, and now I don't want to call you're retired, but you're retired or close to retired, and it's weird that I'm still going and promoting fights. So it's almost like I've seen like OGs like you come through
know,
the
man,
beginning to the end,
generation.
kind of. Yeah, and
Yeah,
either
that
you
is pretty cool.
either you or your brother fought for me in Auburn, Alabama, when I did the Kyle Maynard fight.
That was me.
That's what I thought. You faced I don't remember his name, but you fought a swimmer from the
Joe
Auburn swim
Pasco.
team. That's it.
Yep.
And you beat the everlasting dog shit out of that guy that night. You murdered him.
Man, yeah, I broke his jaw in like 3 places. But funny thing, man, he messaged me, I think 6 years later. And he was like, dude, that was the best thing you ever done for me because I stuck to swimming. And he was actually, he was actually in the trial for the Olympics.
Yeah.
So he almost made it to the Olympics, man. And then he was like, man, that was all because of you. I was like, dang, dude, I just broke your jaw. Like,
And it's
but
funny
it was
because
crazy.
there was no Alabama Athletic Commission back then. So
Nope.
I didn't have to have insurance on the show. I didn't have to have insurance. I didn't have to have the doctor. I didn't have to have an ambulance. But thank God I had all those things. So that dude was covered.
Yeah.
But
No,
yeah,
that was scary. And dude, and now I was terrified, man. I was coming off a loss, and they're like, "Oh, we got this dude. He weighs." The fight was at a 190 catch weight.
Uh-huh.
No, 200 catch weight. And I come in at 190, and we're waiting for this guy to come in. At the weigh-ins at the bar, and he has to duck down to get in the door. So I looked at my brother, and I think I looked at Obo. I was like, "What did y'all get me into, man? I'm about to die over here." And it was crazy, but he was like, so what, 6'7", 6'8", isn't he?
everyone, I'm 5'4", so to me, everyone over 6 feet really, really tall.
Now, Dhiego, do you knew exactly what David was talking about? You knew the guy's name. Do you know all the opponents that you stepped into the cage with?
No, absolutely. Absolutely, man. I know every welterweight in the UFC. I know because now I got to look at middleweights for Trey Sean. I got to look at flyweights for Cody. So, and now heavyweights for Carl. So I know every fighter you tell me, man, I know. Like even local, man, I pretty much know basically every local fighter. Like I do my homework. If they send me a name, I really watch these guys. And yeah, I know all of them.
I hear a lot of other fighters, they talk about, when you step into the cage against another person, man, like you're giving of yourself before you leave that cage, man. Could you go a little bit more in depth of like what that actually means to you?
To what? What? Say that again?
I hear a lot of other fighters when they talk like when they go into the cage with somebody, it's like they have a mutual respect for that opponent because like y'all shared y'all gave of each other when you were in the cage. And the way you immediately knew exactly who David was talking about, you knew this guy, you were able to speak on it. Could you just explain what that is, like the moment that you share with your opponent, that connection?
Man, I feel like it's almost like you get in a fight anywhere with anybody. Afterwards, you're like, you know what? You did it already. I think that's just like a feeling. I just remember after in high school and like middle school, everybody there, like they talk, but then when they finally fight, it's like, all right, it's over. They have that respect. And I feel like it's the same thing, man, because for you to go through it and for you to go through all the training and all that, and this person's doing the same thing. And I feel like it's just, man, it's over, Like I've had this guy in my mind for 8 weeks. And he's had me on his mind for 8 weeks. It's like, you know what, dude? It's over, man. I don't ever want to see you again. Good job. It's that respect. Like, dude, it get out of my mind, like it's over.
Indeed.
So you've retired. Are you 100% retired, or you Doug Usher retired, where you're going to unretire every month? Or are you 100% done?
I am officially retired, man. Officially, it's been what, 8 months now, man. But yeah, I know who God called me for, and when it's from God, man, when you know it's from God, there's no question about it. I never questioned it once. You don't see me posting anything. Oh, I missed this, that. No, man. I know I'm retired. The guys know I'm retired, and it is what it is, man. I've moved on already. Things are, and if I didn't retire, I wasn't gonna be able to handle everything that's going on in my life right now. All the gym stuff, the fighters. There's just I didn't know at the time what I was doing, but God knew. I just obeyed His voice, and now it's all showing. Everything is clicking into place. Like, wow, if I didn't listen, man, I would have been screwed. So, I'm excited, man, and I'm just here to share to all of y'all. Get closer to God, get your life straight, and that's it.
How old are you and your brother?
I'm 33. Douglas 34.
And with most gym owners I've seen, and we talked about it with Brantley last week, a lot of gyms in Atlanta love MMA fighting. They love MMA fighting. They love Muay Thai fighting, but they're always not 100% sold on having fighters in there. Like they like the fight game, they like the fighters, they like the
Hmm.
notoriety it brings. They like when you're on an NFC fight night, it helps you sell memberships. It helps
Hmm.
keep your people enthusiastic. But your gym is 100% taking up the fighters and taking up the fight game. What is it that draws your gym to fighters and fighters to your gym?
I'm not in it for the money. That's just the difference. There's really no money in MMA. A lot of these guys, man, barely have a job. They're putting everything into it. So it's hard for them to pay a membership. It's hard, for them to focus. And I just give them that opportunity. I'm not here for the money. Jujitsu, kids jujitsu, uh, Muay Thai, but those are the programs that give money. That makes the gym money. But I also have that as well. But I want to give these guys an opportunity. My thing is giving back to them, and I know how hard it is when you're an amateur. You don't really make money in the sport. You pretty much got to pay for you to fight. So I just give these guys opportunity. I'm not in it for the money. I'm focusing on their lives, them being a better person. Not really fighting either. Fighting of course is a big part of it, but I want them to have a better life, and it's everywhere around. I give them an opportunity to be better everywhere, to be a better person. They know like they can't play bad music at my gym. They can't. There's no cussing at my gym. I just want to give them an opportunity to be a better person. It's not just fight. Oh, I'm a fighter. I'm this and that. It's like no, man, you want to get sponsorships. Like I try to teach them how, hey, social media is a big part, man. It's all you're posting, you're smoking weed, you're doing all these bad things. How you expect a company to invest in you while you're doing all these things, All you do is just all cussing and all this in the social media. It's like how you expect somebody to invest in you. So it's just for me, it's not just about them fighting for me. It's just them being a better person overall, and everything else will follow, man. The opportunities will come, and it's showing, a lot of these guys in the big stages. We've been getting a lot of opportunities, and it's showing, man. But it's for me, it's not about the money, The gym will make it, man. It'll, money will come, money will go, man. I've had friggin' what I made 200,000 one year in the UFC, and other years I made 10,000. It's just for me, it's not about the money, and they know that, and it's just giving them opportunities, man. Not a lot of people want to take the chance because it's a business, It's a business. You got to look at it as a business, We've had the privilege to where me and my brother has a big name, and people like us the way we carry ourselves, so I don't have to focus on that part. It'll come, man. I invested on Trey Sean. I invested him for 7 years, man. And just to see that, that bonus, man, it just meant a lot. It's like it's worth it, man. That guy will tell you, nobody wanted to take a chance on him, and I stuck with him, man. I know what he had, and just to see that, man, it was just amazing. Him getting a bonus and him being able to get a house. It's just I've been through it all with him, man, and it's just amazing to see. And it's just the opportunity, man. I want to give them the opportunity they never had. And right now, we got some sponsors working, man, to where I got these guys' medical bills covered, so there's no they don't have to pay for their medicals anymore. Now we get travel covered, so it's just big things happening. People see what I'm doing and they want to invest, and they're like, how can we help? And I'm like, man, let's cover everything for these amateurs, man. So my amateurs are not going to pay for anything anymore. Pros, if we need an extra corner, the gym's going to cover that as well. And man, just opportunities is coming and doors are open.
That's beautiful, Dhiego, man. Because every time we're at an NFC show, man, you're always there. And I think your presence is a big deal. You know what I'm saying? Like when people see you, it's a big deal, but you're always there. And I'm sure that takes a lack of sacrifice, man. And you just giving of yourself, I'm sure it gives those fighters just that extra bit of confidence to be there. Whether that's somebody on their very first fight or a professional who's working their way trying to get to the UFC, or even, you'll turn on a UFC card, we'll see you in somebody's corner, man. Why? Why do you go out your way to, invest so much time into?
Man, it's like you answered it pretty much, man. They look up to me, They look up to me, and I know how it is to have like a good corner, to have somebody there with you. I just try to show them that I'm here for you. It's hard to make to all of them, and they understand, man. There's a lot of things going on, but my thing is, we've built a team that, if I'm not there, man, all my guys are the same. Like you see with Brantley, man. We see with everybody that goes. It's just I try to everybody carry the same thing, But they love me there, man. It's amazing, man. It's amazing how they look up to me, and I really appreciate that, man. And I really try to be there for them. It's a sacrifice, it's all, but man, I love it, man. I love it. Just being there for them, winning, losing, all that. It's just for me, just being there, just the time with them. They're gonna turn around and be like, man, I had somebody that cared for me, man.
Indeed.
Because it's tough, man. Nobody cares about MMA fighters. They're just MMA fighters. It's like, no. It's more than that, man. Like the work these guys put in, man, the time they put in, You got Elijah, you got Reese. These guys, they train pro practice at 9:30 in the morning, and they stay all day at the gym, man. And then they're posting, hey, man, anybody needs a private and all that. And then they train again 5:30, 6:30. They're teaching during the day, and man, people don't see the work these guys put in, man, and I do, and I appreciate it. I see what these guys go through. I see the work they put through, and, that's the least I can do for them, man. It's the least, Right now, I don't even coach much anymore. I'm just so busy with stuff, the gym stuff and all that, It's hard to even coach, man. But, man, we got an amazing team, man. All these fighters, they're not just fighters. They're coaches, too. They're leaders. All the people at the gym, every member looks up to them, and that's what I want to build, man. It's a team, I don't take credit for anything. Like my brother doesn't take credit for anything. If it wasn't for these guys, man, I wouldn't have a gym, man. It's Monday night, man. I'm in here sick, I'm at home all day. Somebody's doing the work, man. So this is nothing, man. Without the team I have, man, this wouldn't be possible, and I'm just very thankful for them, man. It's whatever I can do to help them, I'm there,
Again, ladies and gentlemen, Dhiego Lima joining us here on NFC Now. Dhiego, we talk a lot about when your name and especially your last name comes up when it comes into MMA circles, they bring up your brother a lot, Douglas, and you spoke to David earlier about how you watched Douglas fight on his card and that you wanted to do that. Being in his wings, man, like how difficult was that for you to establish your name in it? We watch you fight in the UFC and everybody's like, oh, this is Douglas's little brother. Like, how did you fight that stigma that was placed on you just to become your own, man?
Bro, it was horrible, man. Horrible. My second pro fight, bro, was against the dude 9-0. Keon Caldwell. You remember that Obelisk for sports?
I do remember. Yep.
Yeah, man. I could never find any fights. He was just everybody. Amateurs, they're like, Douglas is I'm not fighting him. Like, bro, come on, man. So my third fight, I was already in a big promotion. He was televised at MFC. So from the
Canada,
they signed me. Canada, yep.
Yeah.
So my next 6 fights was there just because of that. But
I,
I followed through, man. Kept going and just kept winning. That's the thing. If you don't win.
So
But
I think I was similar to you. My brother was adopted when he was 3 days old. So my brother is 6'1". He was a starting kicker, punter, tan, good looking. He went to University of Georgia. He was a kicker and punter at University of Georgia.
oh man.
I could not go to UGA because he was 1 year older and he went there, and everything I did was always following in his footsteps. So I went to Auburn University because it was next biggest closer school without going where my brother went. So yeah, it's funny hearing yours is
Yeah,
similar to that.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
No,
But
he
you
was
exactly
definitely
followed
hard,
his
man.
footsteps.
Yep, definitely hard. But he was good pressure. And our relationship was always amazing, man. And
Yeah.
he helped me get through it, man. He was awesome.
So my question was, you were in UFC. He was in Bellator, and the champ, extremely successful in Bellator. Was there any friction between you guys being in UFC and Bellator? Like, did Dana White or Bellator ever say, "Hey, man, we need both of you in the same organization"? Was there anything like
No,
that?
man, because he built what he did in Bellator, and then I did mine in the UFC through the Ultimate Fighter and all that. And no, he was never like that. Mm-mm.
What kind of difference now at the UFC with what they've built in the Apex? I've seen you there lots of times. The Performance Institute. Like, how cool is all that? Seeing where it's at now out there.
Shit, man, that's amazing. That's amazing. I'm just like, man, where was that like 6 years ago? Like, these guys don't know it, man. It's so, oh, man, what they have there is pretty neat. It's pretty neat. Just to have that, the Apex, go in there to train every day. You got the full cage, man. Like, I mean, it's amazing, man. It's like I said, it was like the Ultimate Fighter. It was the best thing that ever happened to me, man. Because you have no worries. All you got to do is just go train every day. They take your phones away. You take all that away. And I told Trey Sean when they went, I was like, dude, like with your talent, like there's no way you lose when you're in that house. Like I knew it, man. There's no way you lose. Because all he did is just focus on fighting, training, and eating. That's all you do. And man, the Apex is it's just crazy. Amazing.
Dhiego,
I've always been a big fan of Bellator. Like, I love Bellator. I think it's cool. But if I was a fighter right now, I don't even think there'd be a decision for me. I think I would be 100% UFC. Just what they have to offer, the benefits of them, the Apex. If we get another COVID, Fight Island, all the food for free that you guys get out there, the Performance Institute. Just for me, with money making no difference, I think the UFC is head and shoulders above any other company in the world.
No, it is, man. It is. And with Bellator, they take care of my brother.
Yeah.
He's been there for a while. But for the other fighters, it's like I just think it's the promoting, man. Like it's like there was a fight. I just found out last week that Corey was fighting. I found out the day of weighing. It's like, dang, man, I'm a fighter, I'm a coach, and I'm not really hearing about these events. It's just, I think that's where they lack quite a bit. It's just advertising,
Yeah. And I'd say again, I love Bellator, but we used to always say this with me and my friends in the last 5 or 6 years, our fight community friends. You could be the Bellator champion of the world, like a Douglas Lima, and walk into a Walmart in Florida, and no one might know who Douglas Lima is.
Yeah, that's
but
true.
You could walk into the same Walmart in Florida as the number 5 ranked guy in the UFC. Patty Pimlet, or whatever that Patty's guy name is.
Yeah.
You could walk in there and you'd be absolutely mobbed. And that's the difference in the UFC marketing machine and anyone else in the sport of MMA.
Yeah, absolutely.
Speaking on marketing, man, I see you have is it Triad Mechanical hoodie on. And I noticed, I follow guys like Christian, the Titan Turner, man. He's, he's at Loganville Ford, man. He's at Triad. He's like posting Triad Mechanical, man. What is a sponsorship and just having those connections? What does that do for not only the gym but the fighters?
That's really what makes you right now. Especially as an amateur, a pro right now, there's really not a lot of money until you get into these big organizations. And man, you having somebody to be like, you know what, I'm gonna take a chance on you right now. I believe in you. Here we go, man. To take care of all your bills and all that, it's everything. It's everything. And it's just, this is what I'm trying to teach them is to try to change the way it's, hey guys, I'm fighting. I need some sponsors. Like, no. This is pretty much like, asking people for money. You know, it's not about that, man. You got to believe in yourself. You got to go, hey, guys, I believe in myself. I'm going to make it to the UFC. Here's what I can offer. This is how many followers I got. I can put you on my shorts. A lot of people can see David Obler shows, you know, he sells how many pay-per-views. You got to write all that down and send it to them as like, hey, do you want to invest in me? Because I'm sure I'm going to make it somewhere. You know, I got my team behind me. My gym has over 400 members. All these people are going to see your company on my shorts. All these people are going to see, you know, there's just a lot that comes to it than just, hey, man, give me some money for this fight, and it's all that. So, you know, that's what I'm trying to change. And, man, and you see these guys, man, they're amazing, man, like Josh Mark, man. That guy gets so many sponsors of fighting, and it's crazy. You know, Christian Tournament, you know, all these, it makes a difference, you know. You got to believe in yourself, too. It's not, hey, man, I got to fight. Give me some money. No, man. Invest in it. You gotta understand, like, all you young fighters watching, you got to make sure these companies invest in you. It's an investment. And if you don't believe you're going to make it anywhere, you're in the wrong sport right away. You know, you got to believe, you know what, once I make it to the UFC, your company's going to be right there with me. You know, when I got 100,000 followers, your company's going to be right there with me because you believe with me from the beginning. You know, it's more than just, oh, it's a sponsor. No. It's a relationship. You know, and they're getting it, man. It's helping. It's helping.
It's a beautiful thing, man. And the way in which that you just explain it, it's like, okay, I feel like more fighters in the NFC community, not just only at ATT Team Lima, need to know about this, but just like fighters in the community need to understand that, hey, this is a relationship, and like, yo, you could really leverage what you got going on and bring in these guys. And I tell you, your guys are really doing a wonderful job of
absolutely, man. It's like,
that.
Oblas, how hard did you work for to get on a pay-per-view, man? Like, right now you're selling pay-per-views online, you know? That's hard, man. Like, we've been there where we couldn't get into Wild Bills, man. We're getting kicked out by the security guards, you know? Like, it's been a long time, man. There's a lot of work to put in.
Jamar, one of your guys, Jamar Whitehead, before he was 18, I was sneaking him into the fights at Cowboys.
You see?
Jack May, who's now a judge with the Athletic Commission, I was sneaking him in with his dad at Cowboys, you know, when he was underage. So it's kind of funny now seeing these guys of age and grow up, and where Jamar is in his career right now, where Jack May, you know, he's a judge. So, yeah, it's crazy. And while we're talking, Michael Allen just commented and said Dhiego with 10 exclamation points on the podcast here. And I haven't seen Mike Allen Cornbread comment on any of our podcasts.
Oh, man, yeah, Michael's awesome, man. Yeah, last time I seen him, his son was his son fought for you, right?
Yeah, his son fought
that
for
was the
us
last time I seen him.
He fought at the Harley Davidson show, and he was a black belt in incredible jiu-jitsu. I can't remember who his son fought, but his son lost that fight.
Yeah, he was a tough one, huh?
Yeah,
I remember that. Yeah, but we had our beefs back in the day too. Those were good.
I think everyone had a beef with the Charlotte guys out of
well,
that's also
he was
promoting
awesome,
Fight Lab. So when Julian was asking me earlier about like what shows I attend, so there's a promotion called Fight Lab in North Carolina, and we used to go to their shows all the time. His guys used to fight here, so we had a good relationship with Fight Lab. But we beefed up a lot. North Carolina versus Georgia. That was a huge beef back there. They had Adam Dehart. They had Johnny Buck.
Oh my!
So yeah,
Johnny Buck. He was the one. Oh my goodness, that guy.
He caused a lot of trouble.
Got to get under people's skin, man.
There was a lot of fights.
Sunny South.
He did. Yes, he did.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I had to get extra.
What happened to D-Hart?
I see him on Facebook all the time. I think he's just gone on with his life. He just has gone out of the sport, basically. I think he's just gone on and matured. So, yeah. And I was going to ask you, ATT Lima, we're talking about how successful it is. What is in the future for ATT Lima? Like, are you going to expand to more gyms? Are you going to go outside? Or what are you going to do?
Yeah, the plan now is having franchises now. We want to get another location here, probably beginning of this year. We're looking at already opening another location and then franchising out, man. And then, going from there.
Sweet. So can you franchise Team Lima even though it's franchised under ATT?
Yes, we can franchise Team Lima because it's ours, but then we can't American Top Team Lima. I don't think we actually, you know what? I don't know yet.
Okay.
I don't know yet, but we're looking for Team Lima now, growing that a little bit more. We're going, man. It's going good. It's going good. Because you gotta know how to make a little bit in each area. And there were so many areas involved that we weren't doing. It's just no. It's just memberships. Memberships. It's like no, 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 no. There's a lot of money in elsewhere, in other places too. So that's what we're branching out now. Just growing, being successful everywhere. Because then you get 700 members, man. It's tough, man. It's tough to keep everybody happy and all that. So it's like, no, I don't think we can even fit that many people in here. Let's, set the members this way and then now go branching out in other places. There's more places to make money, and that's what we're doing now.
Last time David and I walked out of your gym, and it's a beautiful new gym that you have that you just recently opened, man. Beautiful new gym. It's different than the other location that was a little further up, Jimmy Carter. But last time we walked out there, David and I, we looked at each other and was like, I would really love to see ATT Lima against some of these ATT guys. And being that y'all are such a big gym, y'all are kind of eating up a lot of the fighters that are out here available in Atlanta. Now, if you continue to franchise and open up, man, could we possibly see some matchups against, is it ATT? I mean, is Team Lima just off the table? Like, how does that look like?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. No, against each other, no. Man, now it's time to bring some guys in, David. That's the thing. Bring these guys in now, North Carolina, Tennessee, and all that. That now it's Atlanta versus the world, man. We just got to do it.
I'm looking on our spreadsheet for January 20th, and looks like we've got a couple. Looks like we got Michael Fortner versus a guy from Tennessee.
Yeah.
Possibly Walter Flores versus a guy from Atlanta. I don't know if they signed yet. Giovanni Butler. Looks like we have 4 or 5 guys. Kevin Cuevas, Cesar.
Yeah, he's new.
Yeah. So, I mean, we do bring in out-of-towners. We bring in out-of-towners from the main event. We bring in out-of-towners for the all-pro fight.
Yeah, no, it's been good. It's been working good. I know we get a lot of guys on the show, but
yeah,
it's been good so far. We don't got to think about that yet. We'll cross that bridge when we get there.
I think Julian's question was, would we ever see an ATT Team Lima versus an ATT Atlanta guy if they don't train together? Is that something that's allowed or not allowed?
No,
okay.
We don't. We all train together, man. Like I said, it's like it's a family atmosphere,
Indeed.
There's just way too many fighters for us to do that,
What about in a jiu-jitsu tournament? If you see in the finals, and I've talked to this about other jiu-jitsu
guys. They have, yeah.
Okay, so you wouldn't bow out in the finals of jiu-jitsu?
It just depends. It just depends. I know some fought before, but it'll just depend. It's a case-by-case thing.
I think you let them fight. I think you let them fight in jiu-jitsu.
Of course you are. You're a promoter.
Well, not even on my show. I don't do tournaments. I don't do. I'm out of the tournament business. But I think talking to jiu-jitsu people, if you have a Team Lima and an ATT Atlanta guy, those two guys are going for gold. Those two guys want it hanging up on their banister. That's why they pay you the membership to train to get them to the finals. And I've heard through jiu-jitsu in 100 years in Atlanta that there's some trainers that make their guys bow out if they make it to the finals because they might not even train together, just affiliated with each other. And I know the guys have told me before they absolutely hate that because it's like they reach their goal and then they've got to relinquish their goal because of the trainer's politics. So that's just my 2 cents. Again, it has nothing to do with being a promoter.
Yeah, I think it'll go case by case. If they never train with each other, probably definitely,
Yeah, absolutely.
Y'all have killers in your gym, man, and I think that's just a testament to like what ATT and Atlanta and ATT Team Lima are doing, man. Y'all are doing such great work that, like, just as a journalist, somebody that is neutral, there's some of these guys I'm like, damn, I would like to see that fight, like as I'm matchmaking in my head, but then I have to also realize, okay, like now they're affiliated with the same team. Now, with that said, you've been to damn near every NFC event that we've had this year. Was there any fight or performance from one of your fighters that stood out?
Man, there's been plenty, man. There's been plenty. Let's see. One of my favorite ones was Lima defending the belt against that dude because I know everybody counted out Lima. It's like, that dude hits him, he's done, I was like, you guys got no idea. Like, Nima can take a punch and then for Nima to go in there and finish dude in the second round, man, that was huge, man. That was one of my favorites.
Nima versus TJ Holt. That was a big
Holt,
fight.
yes,
We
Holt.
had TJ on the
Because
fight.
we knew how good he was, man. His power. I was like, man, we're like Nima. Hey, we got to block. Make sure the hands are high. This dude hits hard, and he'll just look like I got this, man. And that confidence Nima has, man. People don't see it, but he's a confident dude, man. Yeah, and he was just the way he took him out, man. That was huge. That was huge.
And just from your perspective, man, as a coach and somebody that invests so much into your fighters, man, how important is it to have a promotion like NFC that you could bring your pupils and they have an opportunity to showcase their skills on a big platform like the NFC?
Man, it makes it so much easier. So much easier, I'm glad, man. Like of course you want to travel too, you want to have that experience, but man, it's pretty much every event. Jess is like, hey, how many we got? It's like, man, thank you. It just makes it so much easier. And, you can see it, man. These guys are growing and these guys are building their careers here. And it just makes it so much easier, man. I'm very thankful for that.
And the funny thing is, even as a promoter here in Atlanta, I've always told fighters I'm friendly with, you need to go fight on other shows. Like, you need to learn how to get on a plane and cut weight, or while taking a bus or a
While
car.
traveling.
You need to learn to go to someone else's backyard. So when you do make it to the UFC or Bellator, that's not your first out-of-town fight. Like, I tell these guys, not only for that purpose to educate them and make them better, but you need to go fight on other shows so you see how organized and how good we are at what we do at our job. From commentators to announcers to the DJ to the venues we use to everything else, the matchmaking that's even 50-50. Like, not only is it selling the NFC, but you need to, if you expect to be a UFC or Bellator fighter, take a couple of fights out of town. But it's also, when you were talking about bringing in out of town guys, it actually makes my job and Jesse's job easier if you guys do fight out of town every once in a while for a different promotion, because then we can get their guys to come here. It's almost like, hey, we sent you a knuckle up guy or an X3 guy or ATT guy. Now send us a couple guys. So when we're friendly with promotions, that's our goal, is you guys do take those fights here and there.
No, absolutely. Yeah, we started too. We started doing that as well. And man, there's just so many guys. The thing is, there's a lot of guys, so I'm trying to get as many as I can in one event. That's our plan. If somebody gets an out of town fight, I was like, hey, how many more do we got? So it's just five plus each event. That's our goal. Next year, that's our goal.
And I see we have Nathan Williams in the queue right now to bring him on next. He's actually in your gym right now.
Oh yeah,
training, I guess.
Look at that. Yeah.
Man,
I'm telling you right now, man, he's on another level right now, man. His mentality, like, you can see it in his eyes, man. You can see it, and it's just he's gonna be special, man. I'm excited, man. I'm excited.
Is that a fight that you're working, or Brantley, or who's going to be cornering him? Any idea?
I'll be on that one.
Okay.
Yep, I'll be on that one, because we were supposed to have a few others too, and they fell through. But, right now I believe it's just him. But that's going to be a Dana White looking for a fight series. So, that's going to be big. I talked to because I just had Daz over there with Icon and Masvidal's boxing. So we were just there, and they were telling us about it. It's like, oh, yeah, man, it's a Dana White series. Dana White looking for a series. They're going to be filming and all that. So it's a big opportunity, man. This is it. This is what Nathan's been looking for, and, we're going to get it. He's ready.
Dhiego, how old were you when you started fighting?
18, man. No, fighting. Yeah, I started training. I was 18. I started fighting when I was 21. Yeah, 21.
Hey, if you were talking to 18-year-old Dhiego right now, man, what would he think about the man that we're talking to right now?
Man, he'd be excited. He'd be excited. Like, man, yeah, we made it. We made it. Yeah, man, you just never know, That's what I never know, man. That's why I tell these guys, man, enjoy the process, Enjoy the process, man. The downs, the lows, the highs, enjoy it all, man. Because at the end, you're going to look back and be like, man, that was fun. That was fun.
Indeed, man. And look, a lot of times when we run into each other at these shows, man, we don't have an opportunity to talk to each other, man. But I just want to let you know how much I respect you and everything that you're doing at your gym, man, and just seeing the type of men that are being produced and the way they represent the way they represent your gym on a daily basis, man. Much respect to what you do and how you do it, Dhiego.
Hey, thank you very much, man. No, it's a pleasure, man. Thank you.
Appreciate the time, big guy.
David, all right, brother. Thank you, man.
We
Maybe give
talk.
me a free ticket for the next show.
Let's not get crazy now. Let's not get crazy.
Hey, y'all keep doing your things, man. You're doing amazing, bro. Proud of you. And, if you ever need anything, I'm here.
I'm trying to come train.
Come on now.
What's up? I'm ready for it, man. I got my
Bring it,
gloves
man.
and my
You ready?
wraps. What's
You
up?
know where we are.
I'm gonna be there. Say less.
All right.
Hold it down. I'm still here, man. Don't.
I know.
Don't
We've
worry,
done
man.
this long enough. Yeah,
Hold up.
I know you
No.
get that overheating.
No, yeah.
Oh.
Okay, yeah. We're still working on it, man. It's all good. I'm still here. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, all my kings, queens, princes, and princesses. Welcome to NFC Now. I am Julian Burgeon. That is David Oblas. You're talking to my AV or what do they call those nowadays?
I can't. I don't even have. What are the little things on your phone that show your image or whatever?
Yeah, it's my little image, man. I'm out here, man. I'm still here live on location. That's back when I had a fade, man. Right now, I got, it's crazy. We were at a party on Saturday night, and they said I look like Pootie Tang. Because my hair is all long and blown out right now, man. But I thought that was a really interesting dialogue we just had with Dhiego, man. What were your thoughts?
Yeah, he's an OG. He's a killer. It's funny hearing his stories that he remembers fighting on the Auburn fight night. I mean, I did have a quad amputee on that fight, and it was at an outdoor barn in Auburn, Alabama. So it was very memorable. But yeah, I mean, him and his brother have been around since MMA got formed in Georgia, from the Cooler with Brian Stan to ATT Gwinnett that they were at for a while, that now ATT Team Lima. They've been with Jucal in Atlanta. So, I mean, they've been a part of the MMA community in Atlanta for, the better part of probably 15 years, I guess. And we talk about not only a part of the scene, but they've been, leaders in the scene of Atlanta for over 15 years. So, yeah, I love Dhiego and his brother. We don't see his brother as much, but Diego's a great guy.
I had to ask him that question about a possible matchup, man, because I remember last time we walked out of that gym, I believe when we interviewed Chris Wynn, or maybe that was Chris Wynn or somebody else. That was
Doug Usher.
When we interviewed, was it Doug Usher?
You and I did Doug Usher together.
It was Doug Usher, man. But when we walked out, man, we both looked at each other and were like, dang, like there's a couple of like ATT versus ATT Team Lima that we would like to see, man. I had to ask him that question. Man, what did you think about his response to that?
I don't know. I mean, every gym's different. I mean, Coonpon owns 2 gyms. X3 owns 3 or 4 gyms. Knuckle Up has 2. ATT now has 2 through them. So, I don't know. I respect it, but I also think if the guys don't train together, there's no reason to do it. And I've even talked to Brian Butler with Sucker Punch Entertainment. He used to always say no 2 Sucker Punch managed fighters would ever fight each other. And then it got to the point in the UFC or Bellator that the options became where they had to fight each other, and it ended up being 2 big names, more lucrative to them. It was a way to get to the title. And you see it happening more and more. You even see guys from like ATT Florida fighting each other that used to be teammates. You just can't avoid it anymore. So my personal opinion, if 2 guys from X3 Sports, Midtown and Windy Hill have never trained with each other, there's no reason why not to do an X3 versus X3 fight, in my opinion. Because after that fight, it almost brings those 2 guys together. Once you fight each other, you will never, ever fight each other again, and you have that comfortable feeling of training together. But otherwise, you might both be like 125-pound guys or whatever, and it might be hard to train with each other, knowing sooner or later if one of you guys leaves a gym, you might be forced to fight each other. So, I don't know. In my opinion, I'm kind of for guys fighting each other if they
and this
they
is
don't
the
train.
thing. Just from my perspective, man. Just middle of the road watching it. There's a lot of guys coming over to ATT Team Lima, such as we got Nate got to come in the chat right now. He was formerly at X3. A lot of X3 guys, they migrated to Team Lima, and now like that takes those fights off the table, and everybody's buddy. Yeah. And I get it, and I'm with the kumbaya, man. However, Kamba, there's a part of me like, like everybody is amateurs, man. And I remember the TJ Holt Travell Miller fight, and I actually ran into TJ Holt at a gas station randomly one day, and I asked him, I was like, like, when can we expect to see you back in there? He was like, I want to fight Travell Miller. And he was like, listen, this is why I want to fight. I want to fight him because He's the best in my division. And I'd rather fight him now as an amateur so I can get better instead of fight him as a pro, because I want him to be the best professional he could possibly be. That when we do go to the professional ranks, we could both represent Georgia in the best way possible. But give the people this fight right now and give us this fight so we can challenge each other as amateurs and give the people the fight that they want to see as amateurs so we can make each other better and go on to the next level. And
be cool with each other so they can now train with each other and cross-train and stuff like that if they get it out of the way.
That logic just made so much sense to me. And I was like, wow, that makes a lot of sense. And now it just seems like a lot of people, like, again, ATT Team Lima and ATT in Atlanta, they're doing such great work. It's like they're attracting so many fighters, but it's kind of like they're taking a lot of fights off the table because everybody's
might be shooting
training
themselves
together.
in the foot by attracting so many guys. And yeah, Jesse and I definitely have talked about that. And we don't try to prevent it. What the gyms and fighters want to do is 100% up to them. And I think they go in knowing it might take fights off the table for them. And I don't think us as a promoter try to change their minds or push them into fights that they don't want to have. It's usually if fighters come to us and say, hey, I want to fight this guy. Can you reach out to this camp? We 99% of the time, we're not the shit starters. We're doing what they ask us to do and doing our job. So yeah, we're not here to start shit. We're here to make the fights that people want to see. And if Jared Gooden had never called out Doug Usher, they would never have fought, and there'd still be this weird animosity, uncomfortableness between them. But now that they fought, it's done with. They're cool.
It's love. They took the picture. That's a great photo. That picture that they took at the end of the fight was an amazing photo. And it's like, look, win, lose, or draw, the community wants to see some of these fights. And I, Julian Virgin, as an independent journalist, I want to see some of these fights, man. And it's just disappointing when it's like, oh, well, no, they train at the same gym. Well, damn, everybody's training at the same gym nowadays. So that's my 2 cents.
We had one fighter, and I'm again not going to name his name, but he'd run away from every fight that we had for him. He's like, no, I had a slice of pizza with this guy. I trained once on Sunday training with him, and the other guy's like, we were at the same gym, but we never even touched each other. And the other guy's like, when we had the slice of pizza, we were at different tables in the pizza restaurant. There's no reason why we can't fight. So it's kind of strange when guys don't want to fight. They always come up with excuses why and blame it that they did this or did that with each other.
Listen, I'm not a fighter.
It's not the right fight.
I'm not a fighter, so I can't really I can't begrudge fighters for not wanting to take fights in X, Y, and Z. I see it, but like, look, I don't know. Like, let's just say if I was training or next to somebody and I lost to them, you don't know what kind of emotions they have to deal with every day. You know, we see people in NFC community scribbling out people's faces that they train with now. You know what I'm saying? Like, you see that now. So it's like, I don't know, man. Like, I guess we're having to deal with politics within the community, but hey, this is what we get when we have such an amazing and large community of people that always come together. As we come together each and every Monday on NFC Now, this is our 10th pod. I feel like we're getting better, even though I am talking over you a couple of times, man. I apologize for talking over you. You do have your microphone up, so that's just me, just a lack of acknowledgement nonetheless. So
I've got black microphone on black shirt, so now I won't wear black anymore. I'll make it more obvious.
I came out here with my green Dale Earnhardt Jr. jersey. I don't know if anybody watches NASCAR the way we do around this household, but yeah, I think a different color would work. But you look great, man, for the pod.
Yeah, this is funeral clothes, unfortunately. So yeah, I'll throw on something different, or maybe I'll get a white microphone and a black microphone, so I can go either way with my outfits.
It'd be real gangster, man. Maybe you know, look, it is what it is, man. Again, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to NFC Now. Coming up next, we are about to be joined, and I wanted to wait until I get the nice camera, but it's all good, man. We'll go ahead and kick Cracker right now because he's in the queue. Ladies and gentlemen, joining us right now on NFC Now podcast, somebody we've been looking forward to having us on the pod. Looks like he walking straight up out of training as we go. Hey, we gonna give you a second to get right, man. Get in the car.
Give me like 15 seconds. You can count down from here.
We gonna give him the countdown. We gonna get right. Maybe I can get my camera right too. Make sure your camera's on. Make sure you're good to go.
All right, that's what I got right here.
David, what you think? David, on a scale from who was the best one we had on here? On a scale from
I think Doug Usher was the best and the worst camera
On a
in the
scale
car
from
we
Doug
had.
Usher to Doug Usher, where does Nasty Nate rank on his appearance right now?
I got to give Nasty Nate credit because he's been waiting on us for 45 minutes. I saw him in the gym, so it's us that we told him 8:30. We're at 8:43, so he can blame us for this one.
That's fair. That's fair. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we are now joined here by Nasty Nate Williams on the NFC Pod. Nate, thank you for joining us, man. Happy Monday.
Happy Monday, man. What's going on, man? I appreciate you, acknowledging me, letting me come on here and run my mouth a little bit. What's up,
For
Dave?
sure.
My buddy.
Who was that in the background of the gym? I couldn't tell when you were in there.
Oh man, it was Reese. It was Robert. It was Berto. It was Lamar Brown. It was Dez. It was the list goes on, man. It's a bunch of who's in here. Bunch of killers in this gym.
I'm mad we missed it. That would have been like a first time ever being on the pod where it was like a gang of people behind.
Yeah, I was trying to have a bunch of guest appearances, but they was the people at the gym ready to go. So I know how it is when you've been at the gym all day and people linking around. You're like, hey man,
yeah.
The sign says we close at 8:30. What y'all doing?
Yeah, it's all love, man. Well, thank you for the time, nonetheless, man. Just before we really get into you, man, what have you been peeping the pod, man?
Yeah, I watch. I ain't gonna lie and say I watch every pod, but when I see notable names, people I really want to listen to, I definitely listen. I listen to, of course, the one with Shamel and when Doug was talking, when Jared came on, I listened to that. I listened to. Let me get right real quick. I think I'm still kind of straight though. Oh yeah, I listened to. Of course, I'm gonna go back and listen to Dhiego after this. I listened to Bradley's and them last week. Yeah, I check it out definitely. The NFC is where I started, man. Even though I haven't fought in Georgia in a couple of, it's been like 2 years, I think. NFC, I probably got the majority of my fights in the NFC from amateur to pro. So
you do have the most famous photo in the history of the NFC where you're getting choked out with the big amateur gloves. So, and didn't you flick off the camera or something right then?
It was a thumbs up, I thought.
It was the thumbs up. I'm
Hold
sorry.
up.
Yeah.
My shit keep connecting to Bluetooth. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Can you hear us?
Hold up. We good?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, my car keep connected to Bluetooth. Bluetooth.
Can you hear us okay now?
Don't go together.
So I was saying you have the most famous photo in the history of the NFC when you were an amateur at center stage with the thumbs up as you were getting choked out.
Versus Shane McNew. I remember that. That was a good one. It was actually random. I didn't even think Chaz Walton and Jesse Wable and them were commentating. And it was like the last 30 seconds and he jumped on my back. And I was looking at Chaz and them and they were just saying, you're good, or you're good. And just give me the thumbs up. And I just happened to look at them and like, yeah, I am good. And then, Jamie took the photo and, there it was. Candid moments are usually the best one.
I was gonna say, hopefully you did know it was Jesse's brother that took that photo. So the whole circle of the Wables.
Yeah. It was Jamie, wasn't it? My boy Jamie.
Yeah, mm-hmm. Jamie Wable. Yeah.
Now you said you had most of your fights in the NFC, man. When did you actually begin training?
Shoot, it's been like 10 years now. It's crazy because now I'm getting called the old head. Like I'm in the gym and I'm like, oh my God, it's been that long. But yeah, I started training 10 years ago. I got my degree from Savannah State University.
HBCU, stand up.
Got my degree in English. I wrestled in high school, wrestled in college for a little while, graduated, and I knew I was too far removed to go to the Olympics. I knew I played football in high school. Started, people don't know, I'm a whole athlete out here. But started 3 years varsity at receiver. But I'm 160 pounds, and my senior year I wasn't really, going nowhere. But I graduated and just was like, man, I want to compete still. And next thing we know, I literally Googled closest gym to me, and the previous gym I was at, X3, came up. Went there for a free class, took jiu-jitsu, told them I was trying to be an MMA fighter, and after the jiu-jitsu class, I signed up for a two-year agreement, and here we are 10 years later.
Beautiful thing, man. That's the first experience I've ever had with you. It was at X3, man. You were there every time I pulled up there to go interview one of the fighters, man. But just between the time where I met you and your start, you said you have most of your fights in the NFC, man. How were you even exposed to David Oblas in the NFC?
Just because X3 had already been competing on cards for NFC before I even knew what it was. Will Coon from Clint Hester. We had Clint Hester. That's another reason that attracted me to X3 because Clint Hester was fighting in the Ultimate Fighter at the time. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, I don't want to be like that, but I was like, hey, this gym got a black guy that is my age. He's in the UFC. This is probably where I need to be. So went there. They had Clint, Marquez, Brandy Hester, Darius Napier, Will Coon, Keon Wilson, so many people from X3 to name. The list goes on. That John Quiros, Joe Elmore, so many people, Pat Mandios, the list goes on from X3 that have competed for Dave. And I just fell in line, with the multiple guys that have been competing for that championship.
You remember your first fight?
Yeah. For NFC, yeah. It was versus what's his name? It was an all amateur show. Allen M1 was the main event. I think I was like one of either the Coco man. I call it Coco. You're not the co-main event, but you fight before the co-main event. You the co-main event.
You
so
the Coco. Okay, I like that. I'm gonna use that. I'm like, it's the Coco main event.
Nah, it's just the Coco.
Coco, this is Coco.
Yeah, it's the Coco. You know what I'm saying? So I was the Coco and fought. I can't remember his name. I'll look it up. It was a while ago.
Hey, I'm trying to look it up as we speak right now. Give me a minute. I might be able to find it in a second here.
Got like a second or third round TKO.
So your first fight ever was NFC 80, 2015 against Jason Everhart. So it looks like that was that your amateur debut versus
No, that was Jason Everhart was my pro debut.
Oh shit, that was pro debut.
Yeah, because remember I fought Zach Cooper when on the first Dana White pilot series when Dana White first started looking for a fight.
Looks like you had about 4 amateur fights. Yeah, so you came to us for your 4th amateur fight, NFC 74. You fought Donald Tunnell.
Yeah, that's his name.
Yeah, Donald Tunnell. You won that. Then you followed up with a fight against Zach Cooper, then Shane McNew, and then a guy on conflict card. So yeah, it looks like 3 times as amateurs for us, and then obviously many times as a pro. So, but you did beat Jason Everhart, who supplied me with my my dog. So.
Shout out to Jason, man. Jason's a cool dude, man. Jason, it was all love always before and after. Even after, like I heard y'all talking about, guys fight each other and then go ahead and train. Like after that fight, we had trained a couple times together. So shout out to Jason, man. Me and Jason, we still, embrace when we see each other in public. It's all love, man. Jason,
I didn't know you fought Zach Cooper. I think that's pretty interesting. I know Zach is always at the fights as well, man. What's your relationship like with him?
Zach's the homie, man. Me and Zach go back. Zach beat me actually. I give credit to Zach. Back then in amateur days when the going got tough, a lot of times I would like mentally like check out. And Zach, it was slick. He caught me in the darts. I was winning the whole fight, like 30-27, or 30-24. Let's be honest, you know what I'm saying? But like, I just got winded, and at the time, Dana White was walking through the door. And then Zach caught me in a darts choke in like the 3rd round of a title fight. It was slick. It was nice. But it was an amateur fight, and then I tried to get it back a couple times. Zach know that. We know it's not trash talk, but we know Zach tried to get that back a couple times as a pro. But no, Zach's the homie, man. We've encouraged each other through the fire department stuff, through our fight careers as pros, just keeping in contact. Me and Zach actually keep in contact pretty regularly on like social media. So Zach Cooper, yeah, he's the homie, man, for sure.
It's funny because I've done so many cards, they all kind of blend together for me, but I forgot you versus Zach was the card that we brought Dana White in. Did you even know Dana White was going to come there before he had come, or did you just find out the day before?
No, I knew, because, I was cool with Chaz Walton and Nick Sprayberry, and they were all like pros on the card, you know what I'm saying? And I was kind of hyped, but I was like, I'm an amateur. Dana White is not coming for me. So, you know what I'm saying? I was like, it's kind of a big deal for me, but I'm like, ooh, like he's not going to sign me to the UFC off of my NFC amateur 45 title fight. Like, so it was cool just to be in the atmosphere, but I didn't let the Dana White whole nostalgia thing get to me.
We weren't. I wasn't allowed to release that. I knew for 6 weeks, and I think we talked about this a couple weeks ago. I wasn't allowed to say anything until about 2 days before, and we knew Dana was coming. It was to film his pilot for Looking for a Fight.
Yep.
And Friday night he went to Legacy in Texas, where Mick Maynard was. He was the promoter there. And then Saturday night he flew to our show. So for like 6 weeks they made me sign a contract and told me if word gets out that Dana White's going to be there, we're completely canceling the trip there. He's not coming. And we were finally allowed to announce it like the day before weigh-ins. We did like a promo thing with him and Matt Serra at Knuckle Up Fitness. And I remember that's when I told like all the guys that come to Knuckle Up, there'd be someone important there you want to meet. And I don't even know if I was allowed to tell them then, but I think everyone that came kind of enjoyed meeting him there. So
Yeah, no, it was cool. I knew a couple of weeks. Whenever you told the fighters,
so it might have been Jesse that leaked it to you back then. Man.
I don't know. I ain't gonna disclose my boy Jesse.
I found
my
the
boy
mole.
Jesse go back, and me and my boy Jesse we close. So Jesse he done hooked me up with some good fights and stuff. So I ain't gonna tell our tell all, but you know.
Now, see, Nate, you are training now at ATT Team Lima ahead of your big fight December 2nd on Icon FC. I believe that is their 5th show. We've been.
I think it's Icon 6, Icon FC 6.
Is it 6 or 5?
Don't give me the line. I don't know.
You know, Jenna and I, we've been to the last 2, man. Good people. We talked to Jorge last time we were there, man. You know, but just before we get to that fight, man, you've switched gyms here recently, man. I remember back in the day, it was always X3 TV, and then you would have other people talk about, oh, we gonna turn the X3 TV off, and that was a big thing in the NFC community, man. Now that we're a couple months removed, could you just explain the split from X3?
All right, so I'm put it like this. You know, I'm here come the English major degree. I'm using metaphors and similes and all that good stuff. So it's like I'm gonna compare X3 to your parents' house, right? You grow up in your parents' house. Your parents teach you things. They you know, you learn a lot of things. You become who the person you are, right? Essentially. But then it comes a time when you outgrow your parents' house. So you need to leave because you're like, hey, I'm a man. Your dad, like, can't be 2 men in this house. You know what I'm saying? Like, this my house. You know what I'm saying? So you're like, all right, cool. I gotta go. I've kind of outgrown this anyway. It's time for me to spread my wings and go elsewhere. But you don't hate your parents because you moved out of your parents' house. You know what I'm saying? You're not like no spite or ill will, and you can always go back to your parents' house and, you know, hang out or eat some food or do whatever, and even spend the night if you need to, whatever. But you know, like, I'm not staying there anymore. So if that's the best way I can put it, it's like that. It's no beef, it's no ill will, it's nothing like that. Matter of fact, Tony even gave me his blessing. Tony was like, man, this is, you know, we have a different purpose in this gym. We're going kind of a different direction. We're focused on fitness and opening up different gyms, and we're trying to be like the LA Fitness of the kickboxing world. You know what I'm saying? So he's like, you need to, you've been here for so long, you've done so much. Like, you're one of the best besides Robert Hill. You're one of the best guys here. You need to go somewhere where you're pushed every day, where you're not running the training, where you're not coming up with what we're gonna do each training session, where you're just showing up, training, getting it going. So he actually gave me his blessing. It wasn't like, you know, oh, I'm leaving, I hate y'all, or nothing like that. It's, hey man, we've done all we can for you. You've always got a home here, but go out and, you know, do what you need to do for your career.
Spread your wings and fly.
Yeah, for sure.
I love the way that you put that, man. And like now that you've gotten to this point, man, what was that transition like, and like the emotions that go into that transition, and how did you end up at ATT Team Lima?
So I always cross train. My boy Doug, shout out to Doug Yamato. My boy Doug is a big cross trainer, a big advocate of cross training, and he's actually the one who's really got me into cross training. Jesse used to hate that we cross train so much because, like you said, he'd be like, "Hey, you want to fight Nick Sprayberry?" And I'd be like, "Nah, me and him just took 17 pictures together and we rolled it." You know what I'm saying? Like, he was at my baby shower. And you know what I'm saying? But so I was always cross training. So I would always go to ATT, especially when they started having the pro practices. When Lima started opening the gym, even when it was at ATT Gwinnett, when they were with Amir Dodovich and all them, I would go over there. I would be at Atlanta ATT sometimes. I would go to Knuckle Up. We would do open sparring at Knuckle Up. We would back and forth. We would trade back and forth from X3 to Knuckle Up every Sunday, open sparring. Like we had a whole thing going. Then it moved to Octopus. You know what I'm saying? So it was X3 Octopus, a little collab going. So I was kind of cross training with like for a long time. And then I just saw, ATT has, man, I don't have to run off their accolades, but I will. You know what I'm saying? So many high level fighters are there, from Jucal to the Ardila brothers, Sergio Paul over there. Because ATT, Atlanta, ATT Lima, we're like, I don't want to say brother, sister, because then they was like, well, who the girl? Brother, gyms. You know what I'm saying? So it's brother, gyms. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of hard because man, it's ironic, and I ain't trying to like down, but it's ironic. Me and Shamel were just talking about that, and me and Bimmy were just saying Bimmy was looking for a fight. Like, oh man, it's a guy over there I can fight. And I can call his name out, and I was like, nah, he turned to ATT Atlanta, and he was like, dang, I forgot about that. You know what I'm saying? So we had that agreement. Like, it's pros. Even like I don't think ATT amateurs will ever fight each other, but especially not pros. Like nobody on a pro level from ATT. If you have the ATT Atlanta or ATT Lima, we're never gonna step in the cage against each other because we're always training with each other.
So you understand where we were coming from before we brought you on.
Nah, for sure. Because even like I said, like me and Nick fought, and we were cool. I kind of felt betrayed at first, but then he hit me up and was like, "Hey," because like I said, Jesse's good at kind of what he does. Jesse was like, "Hey, you trying to fight Nick Sprayberry, whatever the card was," and I'm like, "Nah, Nick, my homie." And he was like, "Well, Nick said he down to fight you," and then comes screenshot, and that's like Nick, like, "Yeah, I'm fighting that," and I'm like, "Oh, dang." So then, but Nick hit me up and was like, "Hey, man, we in the same weight class. We both gunning for the same thing. This was eventually gonna happen anyway. Let's go ahead and just do it." And I'm like, "All right, respect, let's do it." You know what I'm saying? So
Interesting.
Type thing. Me and Josh Blyden,
Shout out to Josh.
road dogs. Yeah, shout out to them boys, CTC down there in Savannah. I'm cool.
Yeah.
I'm real cool with them. Me and
Yeah.
we brothers, man. I went to Savannah State, so I got the Savannah connection down there. But me and Josh Blyden talk all the time. Break down each other's fights, help each other out. Coming from that, you know what I'm saying? And me and him fought. He's not for the belt.
I've always said, awkwardly enough, it's good for guys to fight each other sooner or later, because if you're a 155 pro and there's a 155 pro somewhere in Georgia, there's a good chance you're going to see them matched up on our card or someone else's card. So I always say it's almost good that you guys fight at some point in time, because then it relieves that tension and allows you guys to cross train with each other after the fight and become friends with one another, really, in my opinion.
I cross train and with the people and fight them because, most of the times if we cross train, and they know how to set you up. So if you want to fight me after that, then that's cool.
You mentioned two names. You mentioned my boy Bimmy Sola and Shamel. And I remember going to X3 Sports and watching everybody be in the room and just train, man, and Robert Hale included.
Derek Wilson. Don't forget about my boy Derek. Don't forget about we got
Reese Watkins. Reese Watkins was in that room
for a minute.
You know what I'm saying? Like, what do those guys mean to you? Like those X3 guys that are now have been displaced, man. But like those guys in particular, man. Like y'all built a very special community, man. What does that community mean to you?
Everything, man. It's the reason why I kept going at the place I was at for so long. Me running the fight team and fighting at the same time, I felt like I was like on a smaller level of James Krause. You know what I'm saying? Like I was fighting, but then we were putting 7, 8, 9 guys on the card before it was cool. You know what I'm saying? Like the takeover, like now it's crazy because ATT Lima, now we're putting on 8, 9 guys on the card, and I was like, oh, I remember when we were doing this. You know what I'm saying? So it means everything. That literally my brothers, man. We're in like several group chats. I don't know if y'all see, like we follow each other on social media. We'll be at each other's like life events, like baby showers, birthdays, and weddings, and you know what I'm saying. It's not just gym stuff. It goes beyond the gym, like with all of us. You know what I'm saying? Like they come to my kids' birthday party. You know what I'm saying? Like vice versa. So like it's like really a brotherhood, really a family, and it goes a long way. Like that's why like we would like get into altercation. You know what I'm saying? At weigh-ins at times. You know what I'm saying? Like. Oh, that's why like it would be like back in the day, you knew if you said one thing about somebody from X3, it was about to be a bombardment of people coming back at you. Like you don't say nothing about X3 unless you saying great job X3. Like Trayshawn only said, "Hey man, I want to fight Robert Hill because he's the best, and I want to fight the best." And we came at Trayshawn like, "What? How dare you?" Like, you know what I'm saying? So like, it's like, and that just shows how much of a brotherhood we have, like for real. Like, and now over here at ATT Lima, man, they did nothing but embrace us with open arms. You know what I'm saying? Like Dhiego, I sat down with Dhiego and Douglas and Devon. Shout out to Devon and Sydney and Sid. I sat down with them for like an hour and a half, just talking about the transition. And they were like, "Hey man, it's about time. It's about time." You know. And Jucal, shout out to Jucal, man. He's a big inspiration. He's the reason why I actually came back from a little hiatus that I was on. Went through a couple life transitions. Got divorced. You know, whatever the case may be. Actually stepped away from fight. Me, Doug, Usher, Mike Wilson. We all like retired and then came back. We like I kind of
you guys like the Brett Favre of MMA. Keep retiring and coming back. And I joke about it all the time. Like,
yeah. So I did it just trying to figure out, man, just trying to make some things work in my life. Life was kind of going kind of rough. I was kind of I feel like I was in a dead spot at the gym. Marriage was kind of in a rocky place. Just trying to figure things out, you know what I'm saying? So I kind of stepped back from fighting, and I would show up to ATT Lima for the pro practice every so often, and Jucal was just like, "Hey man," he pulled me to the side one day and was like, "Hey man, whatever you're doing, stop it and get in the gym because you're a fighter, and fighting is what you do, and you need to be fighting." And that right there, man, I tell him every time, it may be something small to him, but that resonated with me, and that like pushed me over the edge to like get back and pursue everything as hard as I can. You know what I'm saying? Because Jucal, we know who he is. He's former UFC competitor, has trained the who's who, chill travels around the world, cornering people, has seen the best in the world. And for him to come out and pull me to the side and tell me that really meant something. So it's to bring everything back in. I like to talk. To bring everything back in, though, it's a brotherhood. They welcome me with open arms, and now ATT Lima is my family.
Again, ladies and gentlemen, nasty Nate Williams joining us here on NFC Now ahead of his big fight December 2nd on Icon FC, either 5 or 6. I apologize for not knowing the exact number.
I think it is 6, though.
It might be 6. It might be 6. I give you that, man. Excuse me for just forgetting, man. Now, again, before we get to your fight, you mentioned how life gets in the way. And one reason that I love doing the NFC Now pod, one reason I love talking to y'all off the record, on the record, man, just interviewing, is because I just have an immense amount of respect for those who work a day job, you know, but take time out to still fight. You know what I'm saying? Like to train and live in the gym and have a family and just balance, man. Could you talk about what kind of sacrifices that you have to make in order to be a professional fighter?
Man, it's time. And people say you make time for what's most important. And sometimes you have to sacrifice like Thanksgiving. I'm used to sacrificing things. Even Thanksgiving's on a small scale, maybe. But things like sacrificing Thanksgiving, like next week, I fight next week. So weigh-ins are what? We fight Friday, so weigh-ins are Thursday. So a week from Thanksgiving. I'm not gonna be able to divulge in all the scrumptious, because I'm a fatty at heart, man. Me and Robert, we like to throw down. Shout out to my boy King Hill. We like to eat like the bad things too. Like I'm a carb loader. I'm a pasta junkie. I like sweets. So I like to eat my breads and my sweet potato pies and my macaroni and cheese and all those type of things. I'm not gonna be able to eat all those, but I mean, from doing this long enough, I know what, you know. Eat some turkey, eat some collard greens still, you know, get some good things.
But you even earlier, man, you even mentioned that, you know, and you've been real vocal online about, you know, the divorce that you went through, man. Like, I mean, I'm sure, you know, you pursuing this life, man, it takes a toll on just everything, man. Could you talk about just the family dynamics?
Yeah, so like that's why I was about to come back to that. So yeah, just being away, sacrificing from a small scale to a big scale, sacrificing time, being away from the boys, being away from the wife, even though like things are good, you win a fight, and y'all celebrating, y'all partying or doing whatever with the fight money, but then like people see that, they see the Facebook post, but what they don't see is the complaints of you not being home or you missing steps, your kids taking steps, or your kids games, or your kids because you got to be at the gym. You know what I'm saying? Like being a full time fighter, but being a firefighter. Like the days I actually became a firefighter because of the schedule. It allowed me to be a full time fighter. So, but the days I'm at the fire department, I'm doing 24 hours. That's a whole time away from my family. Then if I'm trying to compete with the I'm a 55er now, so I got trying to compete with everybody at 55. You know what I'm saying? The Mike Chandlers, the Islam, go down the list. Even in my gym, the Will Brooks, all those. I got to be in the gym. You know what I'm saying? Because those guys train every day, twice a day. So I can't afford to miss days in the gym the time I do if I'm trying to do this for real. So I got to be at the gym. So then that's time in the gym I'm missing with the kids, with the family. You know, it takes a toll, and then it because it's like once you get to a certain point, like I got 23 professional MMA fights, so it's like once you get to a certain point and you start to reach a certain level, and you're like, all right, I can really do this for real. You have to commit. Like either we're going to put all of it into training and being at the gym, or we're gonna put all of it into being a family man. And just unfortunately, something had to give.
I will say, even from my aspect, similar. I mean, it was 10 years ago, but 10 years ago, I was wrapped up in dating a girl for about a 3 year period. And she was very, very high level at selling life insurance, a very high level in her company. And not only was I promoting fights at the time, but I was working a second job at the time when we were dating. But when it comes to promoting a fight, it's really like a Thursday through Sunday thing. I mean, you have the weigh-ins Friday, the fight Saturday. I'd be at the venue from 9 a.m. till 3 a.m. Saturday. Sundays on the couch sleeping all day. And you might only fight once every 4 months or whatever you do at your pace. But for me, doing a fight was every 5 weeks. So it's like every fifth weekend, I'd be completely and utterly away from them. And she'd get fed up with my schedule all the time. You work 9 to 5, you work a second job. Every time there's a fight night, you're gone Thursday through Sunday, and you're completely useless to us. And I'm sure even after you fight on a Saturday night, you probably don't get any sleep Friday night. You probably don't get any sleep Saturday night, and you're probably out like a potato on Sunday and Monday, I'd imagine. And I don't think a lot of people see that aspect.
Yeah, they don't. But then you got to come home. You got to be a family man, so you can't be a potato because your kids don't understand. You just fought a 15-minute war with who's who. They understand it's daddy home, so it's time to play. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So you got to like have that switch. You got to be there, still be ever present. Then you can't. You don't want to. I mean, yes, you need to recover, but you need to have that time that you do have with family. So it's like it's a real good balancing act, man. And I think I can just tip the scale too big in one aspect. It is what it is.
How you doing, brother?
I'm
Like,
amazing. Actually, life is. I mean, I'm not down talking about what we actually we separated on really good terms. It's we're even closer. We talk more now, and then she was my best friend. We talk more now as co-parents than we did, as married couple. It's perfect. We both just irreconcilable differences. We both just said, "This is what I have. I'm gonna go my way. This is what you have. You going your way." And then we're just gonna come together and take care of the boys. Like I'm not on child support. The court at Georgia's rough, man. Georgia's a female state, so they weigh heavy into the woman. They were trying to like, no, he needs to be on child support, and she was like, nah, he's at a present father. He takes care of his kids. Like, nah, it's good. So like,
So
child support thing is love.
the funny thing is, my buddy Eric Bullock, our number one fan. Hopefully, you remember Eric Bullock, big tall guy. He
Yeah, I
said
love Eric.
you can always tell when Nate is cornering someone. You can hear him a mile away. Great cameraman. And we've always joked that for years. I'm sure you've heard it before. But when you are cornering, we can hear you on damn near the other side of the venue giving advice
sure.
over there.
Nah, for sure. It's man. A couple times I've even seen it. Like when Jared, they'll have like Jared fought for UFC for Titan main event. I was like, oh, they put me right by the commentary mic. I said they looked up like they don't know. Like they better hear me the entire time. I got that distinctive voice, and it plays into my strong suit. They like people know like no matter where I'm at, you gonna hear me. I can corner from the crowd.
you care. I think I think that's very evident, man. Is that you care, man. I remember even when Nathan was fighting, man. You were loud and proud, and watching him knock out that guy Christian Harden a couple weeks ago. Now you have a big fight coming up on December 2nd, man. And I remember you whispered him, not in my ear, but you told me, you broke some news to me at the last fight that you would be fighting on this Icon FC card, this Jorge Masvidal's Icon FC card. How did this fight come about?
Shout out to Dhiego. Just we plugged in with the right people. Big opportunities come. And Dhiego was like, "Hey man, this is a great opportunity." The who's in the UFC is going to be down in K-side because of UFC Orlando the next day. So Sean Shelby, Mick Maynard. I don't know if Dana White's going to be there. He may not. But the people that need to be there are going to be there. So K-side, from what I've heard. So this is like the big opportunity. That's why they're stacking the card. I want to say I'm the co-main event. So I done moved from the co to the to the co-main. You know what I'm saying? I think Jared Gooden's the main event. You know what I'm saying? So like they got a lot of high profile fighters on this card because of the fact that who's going to be K-side. So this is just Dhiego. Like, man, this is a good opportunity. I think this is and the matchup is a great matchup for me. So this is the type of opportunity we're looking for, and that we need to take to get us back to the next level and to get us where we need to be finally. So.
Being that you have 23 professional fights, man, like when you walk into the cage now, do you have emotions?
Man, my career's kind of been up and down. My emotions, I've beaten myself in a lot of fights. I mean, so when my head's in it, then I can beat the best in the world, and then when my head's not in it, kind of just random things happen. But now, like I said, I've been doing one-on-one competitions for so long, from wrestling to jiu-jitsu. I got my black belt jiu-jitsu, of course, so jiu-jitsu competitions to 23 fights. I kind of don't get nervous anymore. It's kind of whether it's a me of wanting to be in there or not wanting to be in there. For these last couple of fights before this last one fought in October. I mean, I don't think fighters talk about this enough. I was in there, but I kind of didn't want to be in there. You know what I'm saying? So I was
Explain.
It's weird, man. It's like you train, you get pumped up, you get ready to fight. Of course, you agree to the fight, but then like something in there just kind of clicks, and you're like, you think about, I could be doing other things. I could be, I got a career. Like I'm a firefighter. I got a career. I got a pension and benefits and retirement, and you know what I'm saying. So like, if fighting does not work out, I'm still good. You know what I'm saying? So like, sometimes like you go to that moment, like when you get hard, like me and Robert call it embracing the suck moment. Like it's times in the fight, and every fighter can relate to that. Like it's times in the fight where it's gonna suck. You're gonna decide. You can either decide to, I can pack it out here and kind of bow down at this moment, and nobody will kind of bat an eye if I get finished, or if I turn over and kind of give my neck up here, nobody will kind of bat an eye. But it's those moments where you decide to keep fighting. You know what I'm saying? And we call it the suck moment. Like, hey, this is the suck moment. This is when you got to decide to push over the edge. You know what I'm saying? So there's been times, like I said, I've been in there and I've just checked out mentally. You know what I'm saying? And I'm man enough to say that. You know what I'm saying? Like, not discrediting any of the people that have gotten wins over me. You know what I'm saying? But I've beaten myself. I got 9 losses. I've beaten myself 9 times. You know what I'm saying? Everybody I've trained with, people know. You know what I'm saying? So they were the better men that night. You know what I'm saying? But I know in my head what I did or what I said to myself in certain moments of fights. And so, just now, like the last fight in October, when I just went up there I went up to Canada by myself. Chris Barnett was supposed to corner me. He had some visa issues. Couldn't get through the border. His passport expired. Couldn't get through, so I was essentially up there in Canada by myself. So I really had some moments of, hey, do I really want to be in here? Because I'm up in a different country by myself at the fight, a cage fight against a hometown guy. And I knew I was locked in. I knew I was at a different gym. The training made a hell of a difference because I wanted to be in the cage. I was like, man, I can't wait to be in here. Versus, I can't wait to get the fight over with. Because a lot of times you'll be in the back and like, man, I can't wait to get in there, get it over with, and be back in the back after the fight. Like, that's a lot of guys how you feel. You know what I'm saying? But I was like, nah, I can't wait to get in there. I can't wait to exchange. I can't wait to, like, move around and feel the cage. And that's how I knew. I was like, all right, we're here. We're back.
Yeah, when you were actually talking about quitting in a fight, I see that all the time. And the funny thing is, I came up through boxing, where Roberto Duran is most famous for saying no mas in a boxing fight and essentially quitting a boxing fight. And he was kind of banished from the sport of boxing. And I've always thought, like you said, in MMA, it is almost too convenient for guys to give up their back, get choked out. Like, do you ever think that's have you ever almost been like, how do I phrase this without being a complete ass? Like, just guys quit in the cage and just give up their back, and it destroys them for the sport, I guess.
Yeah, Chael Sonnen talks about it. I listen to a bunch of podcasts. Brandon Schaub,
Yes.
Chael Sonnen, the all the who's who, Joe Rogan's, of course. But Chael Sonnen talks about it a lot. He's like, nine. I want to sound like Ricky Bobby. 60% of the time, every time that somebody's they're getting a rear naked choke, it's mostly because they've given up their back and they're kind of quitting. Yeah. Because like I said, you give up your back and you give a submission, people are gonna be like, "Oh, you got caught." That's what the thing. Oh, you got caught, bro. It's never you gave him that submission. You quit. No, it's you got caught. So it's like a way to bow out gracefully, in a sense, like, "Oh, I don't want to fight. I don't want to be in here no more. I'm about to give him this. He's gonna get a choke, and people are just gonna be like, and oh man, bro, you was doing good. You got caught." That's always like the cop out excuse, the cop out way. So then, yes, I agree with you. Like most times when people get like rear naked chokes and things like that, it's because they're like, "Oh, I'm quitting." Because usually most times the choke comes from they've been on their back for so long they just can't find a way out, and they're just like, "All right,
So
we're done here."
On last week's pod, I want to say I accused Michael Chandler of doing just that against Dustin Poirier. And my reasoning behind that was I saw Michael Chandler look at the clock when Dustin Poirier got his back in that third round, and he was already beat and bruised. His nose was bleeding. He looked up at the clock, and that thing said 3 and some change. Mm-hmm. And then Dustin Poirier sunk in the rear naked choke. And as a non-fighter, I always try to be as respectful as possible to the warriors who even have the courage to step in the cage. But I listened to Chael as well, and I immediately thought that when I saw the fight.
Yeah. It's crazy because fatigue makes cowards of men. And that is that quote, that's a good quote, but that holds strong. You don't know how tough you are until you're dog tired. Until you get into your mind, you'd rather take punches than put your hands up. Like, you'd rather get hit in the face than put your hands up to protect your face. You're that tired. Like, fatigue makes you do some crazy things. Fatigue puts crazy thoughts in your head. And when you get so tired, he was tired, he was hurt, he was battered, and then he was like, "All right, I'm about to try to fight out of this. It's tough, it's tight." And then he looks at the clock and he's like, "Oh man, I still got 3 minutes and some change left. Oh no, we're gonna live to fight another day on this one."
The funny thing is, I'll even take the other route. In MMA, I think it's too convenient to find a way to quit and people be okay with that. I think in boxing, it's too brutal of a sport. And if we see a guy quit in boxing, we still compare him to Roberto Duran, or we say he's the biggest pussy and we want our money back because he quit. I think in boxing, it should be almost more acceptable to quit when you feel there's no way to win a fight. You're not going to come back from that fight. And even when your corner throws in the towel, it should be almost acceptable these days. You know, we don't want to see the guy suffer the brain injury. If it's round 9 of a 12-round fight and you're down 8-0, you've been knocked down 4 times, your face looks like smashed potatoes, it should be socially acceptable to quit that fight, in my opinion, for the sport of boxing.
Nah, for sure, because boxing, as you know, is scientifically more dangerous than MMA.
Yeah.
It's because of the head trauma that they continuously receive. And in boxing, you can be concussed. And as long as you can walk forward and keep your gloves strong when the referee grabs your gloves, you can continue to fight and take more brain damage.
And we socially refuse to allow them to quit. Yeah. Like, that's the only sport that we make fun of people for quitting. In the NFL, if you take a hard hit in the NFL, you're out for a couple plays, if not even the game, in a week. In boxing, if you've been knocked down twice, we still send you back for more. I mean, it's almost embarrassing. Well, my 2 cents.
I want to double back to a conversation that we had here very frequently here on the NFC Now podcast. You're a professional, so you can speak on this, man. Mm-hmm. A couple weeks ago, we had a little situation with that Doug Usher and Jared Gooden fight. And the question was raised whether or not a professional fighter should get paid to weigh in, or should they get actually paid to fight. Your thoughts?
Oh man, I've been on both sides of the spectrum. So it just depends on what is put in the contract. I just put it like that. If the promoter agrees to put that in the contract, that as long as you step on the scale and make weight, you will get paid, because the UFC does it, right? So as long as they make weight, it doesn't matter what the other fighter does. they get their show money. If the fighter comes in and doesn't get able to fight, they still get their money, right? So I mean, if it's in the contract, but if you put it in the contract that if the fight doesn't happen, no fighter gets paid, then that's what they have to go by. But I mean, so it's like I understand from a promoter's aspect where David's coming from. Like, hey, if I don't have no fight, why am I paying y'all? I'm losing money. Tickets have to be refunded. We promoted you, and now you don't even show up. Why do I have to still come out of the pocket and pay you just because you cut weight? Well, this is what you decided to do. I can put a gun to your head and make you get in the sauna and make you do all this. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, as a fighter, you're like, hey, I did all this. I paid for training camps. I did whatever I could do. It's not my fault that my opponent came in 10 pounds overweight. And I had an opponent come in 10 pounds overweight, and I still took the fight.
If you were me, or if you were any promoter for that matter, what would you put in your contract?
It depends on how much revenue I was getting, I guess. It depends on how much I can afford. If I can afford to like still, because the fighter in me was like, yeah, treat fighters, pay fighters, blah 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 blah. But then I also understand business. Like business is like, yeah, if I do, we're gonna be the next 864, and we're gonna be in and out in a year. That was a good cash grab, dude. But anyway, so David has obviously knows what he's doing because he's outlasted. I don't even want to say the who's who because he is a who's who. NFC is a who's who. So he's outlasted these promotions. We're gonna call them mom and pop. These mom and pop promotions that pop up every so often. They're like, yeah, we're gonna do it right. We're gonna yada yada yada, and then they're gone in the next year because they don't understand the model, the business.
And I think you guys, we talk every once in a while. We even talked after the 864, and that was a good conversation. I expressed my opinion, you expressed yours, and we've been better ever since. But not only am I better, but I think I treat fighters the right way. I think I treat fans the right way. 20 years into it, there's not too many gripes about me or Jesse or Charlene or the whole team. But I look at it not only from my pocketbook, but it's almost like if we train fighters for ways out of the fight, unfortunately, those fighters are going to learn how they can hype up a fight versus Nate Williams and then how they can get out of that fight the day of the fight, but still attach their name to Nate Williams, still attach their name to other guys, but find their way out of the fight somehow. And I think it should be you get paid to fight. If you don't fight, you go to the next fight or something like that. I mean,
I wish it was like wrestling. You get a forfeit and you get that win on your record. that would change a lot of fighters showing up. We should do that. Like
I've also told Matt Woodruff with the Athletic Commission, we've got to turn in contracts once they're signed. So like right now, I'm looking at our January spreadsheet. We haven't announced the pro fights because first we make you guys sign the contract, we turn in the Athletic Commission, and then we can start advertising that individual matchup. I've told Matt Woodruff with the Athletic Commission, anytime a pro fight does not happen, that fighter should go before the Athletic Commission. And if they came out with a pussy excuse why they backed out of the fight, they should be fined or suspended. And if they're fined whatever we paid the other guy, I guarantee you they were never back out of a fight again.
It should be a loss. It should be like wrestling, a forfeit. A forfeit goes on your record. If your opponent didn't show up in that weight class, you got a forfeit. You walk out to the mat, the referee raise your hand. You got to win. That win goes on your record. So if they start doing that, forget money, because people will pay a fine, but people will wait out a suspension. They're like, oh, I wasn't going to fight in 6 months anyway. I got a baby on the way. You know what I'm saying? Like, but if it affects their record permanently, they'll do something about it. Watch. I shouldn't have put that out there because now they're going to change it and I should be rich off that. But watch. You show up to a fight, you sign a contract, and you back out because whatever the case may be. Whatever it is, but you already signed the contract and you were supposed to show up, that should be a forfeit. And the fighter you fought, they're supposed to fight, gets a win, and you take the loss.
I personally think that's the best take that we've had thus far about this topic, man. I think I feel like that would nip a lot of things in the bud and just assure that we get the fights that we want to see, man. Because I think it's disappointing, when fights do happen and we're building up a fight and it doesn't happen. It's just like it takes the air out of a fight card. You're at the fight card and you're like, damn. Well, I mean, I was excited to watch this fight, and then you see one of the guys that wasn't able to compete, and he made weight, and now the other guy's not there, and it's just like, dang,
Because now everybody's compensated. My bad, Dave, but real quick, everybody's compensated because people like Dave, he doesn't have to pay excess money for a fight not happening, and then the fighter is still happy because he has a win on his record.
But then the fans also come to me. Some fans want their money back. If I give them their money back, it screws me this show. But if I don't give them their money back, they're not going to be return customers of the NFC. So it always like catches me in the middle of things.
They'll return. They say they don't return. You know, how people
Yeah.
have said, "I ain't never coming back," and they back the next fight or another fight card later. They gonna come. This is the hottest thing in Georgia. In the Dave MMA fights, like you always sell out whatever venue you go to. You know what I'm saying? No matter.
Not always, but we do.
Oh,
So I did talk about
or you make it
earlier.
look like it too. You know what I'm saying? You know. So it's good, man. People try to talk that talk, but they gonna show up to an MMA fight, especially when Nasty Nate and some of them boys on the card.
And I was gonna say, even when Julian came on, I think you and Jenna Lee did like 3 pieces on 3 different main events we had. After we shot the video, after we put the video out there, those main events fell off. So you know, it's almost like there's a huge domino effect when fights fall off. You know, not just for ticket sales, but even the emotion that Julian and Jenna Lee and other people have when we spend so much time hyping these. You know, and even for the fans plan on dinner Saturday night and going to the fights. If their favorite fighter falls off, I kind of feel like we kind of ruined their Saturday night, and it's my job to make sure I do everything in my power to make sure what they plan for a month out still happens. Yeah.
Yeah, but what can you do at the end of the day?
Nasty Nate again joining us here on NFC Now, show number 10. That is David Oblas with me. Nate, before we part ways, man, we want your final thoughts, man. Something you want to leave the NFC community with.
Man, I remember when the NFC community started. I feel like I'm definitely, I guess, an OG out here. I remember when they started. I just appreciate the NFC. I appreciate Dave for, man, letting me fight every other month. It seemed like I was fighting for y'all. I fought like 7 times in 1 year, one time. I appreciate you. I appreciate June. I appreciate you, man. We've been vibing ever since we met. You like a brother to me, man. You like a long lost cousin or something. And I'm like, I feel like we family somewhere down the line. I appreciate you. I appreciate everything y'all done. It's going down, man. If you've been rocking with me for this long, man, stay on the NFC, stay on the National train, man, because the best is yet to come. I finally got my head clear. I finally am at a place where I'm supposed to be, need to be. Training partners. I got some of the best training partners in Georgia in the Southeast. I train with Will Brooks every day. I mean, if that's one of my main training partners besides my brother Robert, and you know, a slew of other killers. Lamar Brown has been helping me a lot. So next weekend, Friday is going down. I promise you. The best is yet to come, and the National Nate train is rolling. Shout out to my sponsors. We got Guard and Go Custom Mouth Guard. Shout out to Upgrade Management, my new management, James Penniman. Shout out to him, got me on there. Shout out to Get Fit With It. Shout out to Fighting for Life Boxing. Shout out to Half the Battle podcast. My boy Daniel Levy. I hope I'm not forgetting nobody else. Shout out to B Pimpin'. All natural honey. You get your all natural honey, all natural needs out there. B Pimpin'. Shout out to all my sponsors, everybody who supported me from this long, man. It's not for naught, and it means more than y'all know. So I appreciate y'all.
Hey, well, we appreciate the shout out, man, because you know we're definitely supporters of Nasty Nate Williams every time you step into the cage, man. And I think, you know, the entire NFC community is behind you every time you go out there and you represent yourself, whether that's in the NFC or any other promotion around the world, man. So go in there, handle your business, do what you do, and represent the way that we know that you all can, man. Respect, Nate.
For sure. Respect. Appreciate y'all, man.
You know it.
Appreciate it.
Nasty Nate Williams on the NFC Now pod. That was dope. I'm happy we had him.
He waited around over an hour for us.
He did, man. Look, this is the hottest ticket in town. The NFC Now pod on Monday evenings.
Yeah. If we had got him earlier, we would have had the whole gym in there. But yeah.
Yeah.
Our bad.
That would have been cool, man. But you know, I think just ultimately, you know, as we
got to split them up. If we gone earlier, we would have had all the guys in the background. They were all been yelling over Nate. So, and we need them all on future shows also.
Yeah, they want a little piece of this. They was tuning in. Shout out to everybody tuning in at home. We appreciate you joining us.
And we do got to get Reese Watkins on here. Reese Watkins has paid attention to a couple of shows. He's commented and he likes to talk. I think we definitely got to get Reese on here soon.
You know what? You know what's crazy? I feel like Reese likes to talk a lot more on the internet than he does in person. Because whenever I talk to Reese in person, he's very like. I remember when we interviewed Reese. Yeah. He had a fight against, was it Emmanuel Oso? Or, no, it wasn't Oso. He had a fight against, Jason Matthews. Maybe like a year ago, he had a fight against Jason Matthews,
Yeah.
and when we interviewed him, very
Muay Thai
soft.
fight.
You said what?
I think it was a Muay Thai fight that they had.
It was a Muay Thai fight. It
Yeah.
was a great fight too before Jason injured himself. But I remember going there to the gym, and Reese is so soft spoken. But then on the internet, his Baby Goose page is just popping. You know what I'm saying? So I do want to have Reese Watkins on this pod. So if you're listening, we'd love to have you on next week. We're definitely have Kimberly Sargent on the show next week to talk about all of her war
So
stories.
you got to make a whole separate post about her then.
No, we definitely do have to make a show.
Does she get her own flyer?
Yeah, no, she needs her own picture and everything in there, because when she saw that the flyer for this week had Brandon Addison, Dhiego Lima, and Nasty Nate on there, and there was no her, she was like, no, thank you. She politely declined. So we're going to make sure that she gets her due diligence, man. So we'll definitely have Kim Sargent on. Hope to have Reese Watkins on, and we'll figure out who else is going to be on our next pod. Y'all definitely make sure that you drop a comment in our comment section. But before we do part ways, man, what'd you think about our guest that we had on the show today?
I think it was good. Lima's a living legend in Georgia. We've been gunning for him a couple weeks. Nathan Williams has always been good. He's been fighting for us probably close to 8-10 years. He's got the photo of the decade and a big fight coming up. And then I've been pushing to have Brandon Addison from TRT on here because I think it's an incredible help to guys out there, fighters and just normal people. So I knew that was one I wanted to have on during our dead weeks right now. And I think we even try to think of what we can have on next week, not only someone that is a fighter or trainer, but someone outside of that's involved in our community. I think we need to put our heads together and think of who that is. We joked about having Russ Eckerman on, my buddy Russ.
Yeah.
You have no idea the story of Russ. Maybe hit Google after we finish up here. And read
No, I
about
mean,
Russ.
you showed a picture of you and Russ back in the day, back in Auburn, right?
Yeah, but you should still Google his name to see what I'm talking about.
I'm gonna
Text me
Google it.
later.
I'm gonna Google it. Definitely gonna Google it, man. But I think it's interesting. Like when I saw the picture that you posted on Facebook today, I was like, oh, that's him.
Oh, today, yeah.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with me and him. It has nothing to do with him and I at all. But yeah, Google Russ and see, and maybe we have him on next week.
Okay, for sure.
If
Now,
he agrees to it.
I look forward to having him on because he's at damn near every NFC show, and he always has.
He
two
hasn't
cuties
missed
on the
one in
side.
20 years, and he hasn't gotten a paycheck in 20 years.
That's
But
beautiful,
he still
man.
hasn't missed one.
Shout out to him for just being so dedicated to what you
Yeah.
do every week, man. And I would be remiss not to dedicate this entire show to your boy David.
Oh, I appreciate that.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. I know you came fresh off the car ride from Auburn, man, and that was heavy on your heart. You got the clothes on and everything, man. We got to dedicate that to David. I know y'all probably spent a lot of time together. I know having roommates, man, there's nothing else like it. You know how Dhiego talked about how when you share a cage with somebody, you know them and you respect them afterwards, man. But I feel like when you share a bathroom with another man, and you share those
Not at the
after-
same time.
Definitely not at the same time. That's a big pause. That's a big pause moment right
But
there.
they even said wear orange and blue to the wedding today because that's Auburn colors. I didn't feel comfortable wearing orange and blue like a lot of people did, but I don't know. For some reason, I wanted to go with a straight black. I've always been taught at funerals you wear black, and that's kind of what I did today. So, yeah.
You pay respect, man. You pay respect, man. But again, like when you live with somebody and y'all have to share common amenities and everything, man, you get to really know somebody on a different level, man. So. Again, peace be with you and your entire family, man, and everybody else that knew David, man, at Auburn and outside of Auburn. So I definitely got to dedicate that show to him. And shout out to all the people who decided to tune in today. We appreciate you, the NFC community, for continuing to support NFC Now. We do this each and every Monday evening at 7 p.m. David Oblas, before we part ways, your final thoughts.
My final thoughts have been a long day. Left at 8, got home at 6:58, 2 minutes before the podcast. We wrapped another one up. Everyone wants to be on our show. It's cool to hear everyone talking about the influence we have and people watching. We started a podcast out of nothing, and here we are 10 shows later and still doing it. And we got our first appearance from your daughter.
Say hi, David.
Hi, David.
Hi. Did you remind me for the other people how to pronounce her name?
Her name is, what's your name? Sarai. Her name is Sarai. It's Sorai. It means the healer of the eye, which means she's beautiful. You see her?
Yeah.
Say hi, baby. Say hi to everybody.
Hi,
She stays in the room the whole time while we're potting, and we're going on 2 hours and 4 minutes at this point in time, man. So she's been very patient. So
And I hear my dog crying. I've got to close my door every podcast. now,
we
leave
definitely
it to-
heard your
I
dog
hear him
crying a little earlier when Dhiego.
Oh, you can
was
hear him
on.
today?
Yeah, no, I heard him when Dhiego was on. We can't. I'm never gonna break the fourth wall, man. We're in this together, Dave. We're definitely in this together, man. So
He wouldn't have cried if I wasn't gone all day. The fact that I was gone all day, and now I'm gonna have to go cuddle with him a little bit like you do with your daughter.
Indeed, go do your thing, man. Hey, listen, everybody out there that watching the NFC pod, we appreciate y'all tuning in. Before we part ways, my final thoughts is, man, just thank y'all for supporting the pod. I asked a couple of people hey, what was your experience with the pod? I asked Nate, I asked Dhiego. And I love the way that they're just hey, no, we tune in. So I know we're doing a good thing here, and I always look forward to Mondays, man. Look forward to next Monday.
Appreciate it. Peace out, everybody.
Say peace.
Peace.